What's up, everyone? This is your host, Ghost, coming to you live with another wonderful video. How is everyone doing today? I'm okay myself. Sorry about yesterday. I had some things come up, and I just couldn't do my show. Um, so I'm sorry about that. Probably wouldn't have been a good one, anyways. Today we're gonna check out the Tim Pool's Culture War. What is a conservative woman show that they did on Friday with Rachel Wilson and Lily Gallus. Gallus. Um, yeah. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, if you don't remember, no, Rachel Wilson is obviously the wife of Andrew Wilson, the host of the Crucible, and Lily Gallus went viral for saying a very naughty word, the N word. Um, and she she says that's pretty much all she did. Um, but she went viral because a bunch of black people got offended by it, and so uh, that ended up making her go viral. So sorry. There we go. So here we go. All right. So we'll check it out, give it a look, see what happens. I did watch it when it first came out. I don't remember fuck all, to be honest. But in full transparency, I did. I have watched it. So this one we'll do a little different. We'll do it 1.25 speed. Or no, we'll do 1.5. I think 1.5 is fine. Captions on, all that good stuff. But yeah, and then we'll see how it goes. First things first, just to give a little do a little house cleaning. Um, make sure you follow me on X at official W Ghost. That is the best way to find out when I go live and what I am up to. Um, of course, there's Rumble, rumble.com/withghost. Um, that's the main channel. Wherever you go, make sure you follow me on that channel. And then follow me on YouTube at with Ghost, twitch.tv/official with Ghost. And then I do have a gaming channel. Rumble is Gaming with Ghost, and YouTube is at official Gaming with Ghost. So check those out. Before I go any further, I want to give a shout out to Martin's fan 00. Thank you for the follow. And Clone KLONE 1111. I appreciate the follow as well. All right, hold on. Currently have 49 followers on Rumble. I appreciate everyone who follows, and I hope eventually I can get a lot of you to watch me live. It's not a big deal if you don't right now, but eventually, if you could watch me live, that'd be fucking awesome. Oh, shoot. I need to edit that. Actually, sorry. I just realized some stuff I need to do. Helps if I change this. There you go. Wonderful. All right. Get decent numbers. There we go. Sorry, being distracted. But yeah, that was all I got. So let's check out this conservative woman thing. Again, as is my tradition, 1.5 speed. This is a 2-hour video, so I can't sit here at normal speed and react to you. I have things I need to do today.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're having a wonderful 4th of July weekend. We got a special episode of the Culture We're here for you. We're going to be talking about, well, I don't know how to describe it so much as perhaps the paradox of traditional women and conservative women online and all of the issues surrounding this, the debate. You got a lot of these guys, I don't know if you call them red pillars or whatever, that have whole channels dedicated to why they don't like women. They often get into debates with other women, but the interesting conversation.
Yeah, the I don't like women people. They're more black pillars than red pillars. Red pillars like women. They just generally understand more of the female nature. The black pillars hate women because they can't get women.
There is prominent conservative women who advocate for traditional values, conservatism, but at the same time are unmarried, high-profile girl bosses who make millions of dollars. Seems to be a paradox. I am not saying this intending to insult those women. I'm saying let's have a conversation about this. We got a couple of guests. Would you like to introduce yourself first, Rachel?
Yeah, sure. I'm Rachel Wilson, author, researcher, homeschooling mom of 5, and glad to be back on your show, Tim.
Right on. Should be fun. And we have Lily hanging out.
Hi, I'm Lily Gaddis. I just recently came into the spotlight for saying the naughty word. So here we are now.
She went viral for saying the naughty word, and also she's an attractive woman. That's why. That's why. That's literally all it is she said a naughty word, and because she's attractive, she went viral for it. She was some ugly broad who said it. No one gave 2 shits. That's all it was. And a little background. I guess apparently she is actually a single mom. And yeah, so she's a single mom, and then she's also, I guess I heard some rumor that she apparently like hold on. Because she apparently doesn't like Fresh and Fit. I won't go on Fresh and Fit. So sorry. Hold on. Yeah, scroll. Myron tweets like a maniac, so it takes a bit for me to Jesus fucking Christ. This dude texts like a maniac, so it takes me forever. Oh. Maybe I skipped. Yeah, no. I deleted his post. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. So she All right, so she posted, some people don't take no very well, apparently. I saw your viral. This is one of Myron's employees. I saw your viral video on my X feed and honestly loved your humor. Wanted to ask if you want to be down to come on a podcast I work for. You have similar views to the hosts, so I think you'd be interested. Hit me back. Not sure if you saw my message. Just following up. The podcast is called Fresh and Fit. If you were interested. Hi, thanks for reaching out. Yes, I've heard of the show and I appreciate the support. I might be able to come on. I am happy to hear that. We have every show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in Brickell, Miami at 8:45 p.m. Whenever you are able to make it, I could book you for that day and send you information. Something. If you, I could send you all. I could send all the information you need. I spoke to them about having you on as a special guest for our after-hour segment, and they want you on. When are you available? Hey, sorry, I won't be able to come on. I appreciate reaching out and going through all the trouble. Aw, no, sad face. If you ever change your mind, let me know. Okay, will do. Thanks, girl. Thanks, girl. Okay. And so Myron, this is in response to a tweet Myron did, who says, 4 moronic women that went viral with no talent and or skill set. It's never been easier to be a female and become famous in 2024. So this is the hot 2 girl. This is Lily Gallus. This is the chick that freaked out and said some dude was a lizard. And this is apparently some prison girl that got banged in a prison, I guess, apparently. Now, here's the thing. You got to ask yourself, Lily, did he lie? Because she was all, she, in response, she tweeted this. Obviously, some people don't take no very well, apparently, whatever. So she assumed that the reason Myron made that tweet was because she said, no, I don't want to come on your podcast. Myron, shit, that she doesn't understand that. She doesn't care. Or he doesn't care. So anyways, let's see what he runs. This proves you clearly scared to be exposed because you are in fact a talentless moron, as I said at the Lily Gaddis. But hey, be happy with your 15 minutes fame. You went to APAC and got exposed for being a fraud after. I don't respect you. You run a trashy show and I wanted no part of it. That's it. I don't know, Lily. And then this is Rachel Wilson who tweeted, I don't know, Lily. You and I had a pretty long car ride together where you did say that you were worried about going on Fresh and Fit because you're not very smart, and you kind of knew at Unplug Fit X, that's Myron obviously, and Fresh, we're going to wreck you. I wouldn't talk a bunch of shit on here unless you can back it up. Don't expect a pretty pass in this sector of the internet. LOL. I hope you weren't secretly recording as well. Why? I didn't think you were going to act hard on Twitter about something so petty and insult Myron. It's not backstabbing, it's called honesty. Don't start none, won't be none. That was funny. So there we go. So now if you guys and then so Myron then quote tweeted Rachel Wilson on this. Let's see. So this bimbo, Lily Gaddis, got famous for saying the N-word, which is actually funny because black people are sensitive. However, you're a single mom that left your kid to do drugs at a conservative rally and get fucked. I also got the scoop from an inside source why you didn't want to do the podcast. I'm assuming this is an inside source. Myron, why are you being mean to Lily? You guys likely will get along if you hang out. Okay. So there we go. So here we go.
And Alex Stein's hanging out.
Pimp on a blimp. And, I just want to say I love women, but they just did a study in that lesbians have the highest occurrence of migraines, which proves that dating women is fucking annoying. So
they're both just, it's like putting a microphone in front of a speaker. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah. See, and the women are laughing too. That proves it.
I think so. I think it, no, but obviously I love women. I'm not a woman hater. That's the other space. It's like, there's the anti-woman thing on the right. And Rachel knows this because her husband is, had a huge boost in his career, basically going on these podcasts, making fun of women. And people love that, people love that content, which kind of blows my mind how much people like women to be made fun of.
Well, yes. That's the thing is he doesn't really make fun of them. He simply asks questions that expose the fact that they don't know why they believe what they believe, and they don't know why it is that they say the things that they say and do the things that they do. So
yeah, that's like the newest.
That's actually it's fairly accurate. Like they say things they don't understand. They just say things that make them feel good, and they don't know why they say the things. And when you watch Andrew Wilson talking to these chicks and then getting deep into their beliefs, you realize they really don't know why they think what they think or believe what they believe. They're just like, I don't know. That's all they end up doing. Like, he breaks them down and just gets to their, their fundamental beliefs. And then all of a sudden and then finally after forever, they get down and it's really just like, well, I don't know. This is what I feel like I should be feeling or some shit like that.
Popular thing though is like women saying dumb stuff on the internet. No offense, Lily. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? The people do love those clips of like whatever podcast where a woman's like, I like my OnlyFans, and then they ask about their dad, and they're like, yeah, I've never had a dad in my life, and then it's like, boom, roasted. That's why you're.
But by saying no offense, Lily, it's like literally intending offense.
Well, I know. I mean, Lily's actually smart. I've watched a lot of her stuff. I'm not even hating on Lily, but it's funny how like people just love to see women say something. And I'm a culture jammer, and like a lot of people made fun of you, Lily, but really and truly, what you did is the biggest culture jam ever. You took black culture and you said it as like a white, young, attractive woman, and that's why I think that it was, was like so viral, right? Because
No, it was viral because she's attractive. That's all it was. If she was some ugly broad who said it, no one would have given a fuck. Like, let's be honest. No one would have given two shits about her. And but she's an attractive woman. Okay, let's be honest. No matter what you feel about this chick, she's attractive. Okay, she's an attractive woman who said the N word, and then conservatives grabbed her up and was like, oh look, oh this is a based woman and all that shit. When no, I mean she hasn't really done anything to really prove it.
Because you're taking a culture that you're not allowed to say, and you said it, and that's why it works so well. It's like me when I said like I love the Fauci ouchie, give it to me. You just kind of make something, you lampoon them saying something like the word N-word, and it looks funny because it's a white girl delivering it.
Well, there's all these like bubbles of things that you can't talk about or things you can't say, and I think it's everybody's responsibility to go around and pop those. We don't need that. Those bubbles, that's like an infringement of free speech ultimately.
I think it's all deeply, deeply paradoxical. When it comes to the whole like N-word argument stuff, it's like, yeah, I come from a generation, we don't say that because we're just trying to keep decorum, I guess. There are some people that are like, you should be able to say a word. It's like, yeah, I agree, like descriptive use of words is totally fine, blah, blah, blah. But I try to maintain decorum, and so we don't need to create confrontation. However, that being said, I
don't say it not because I'm scared to. I think anyone who wants to say it should be able to say it. Okay. I don't think the word itself is offensive. I think the individuals that are offended by a simple word probably have more issues than we really want to deal with. I don't say it because it's not part of my lingo. Okay. I don't say it because I just don't care to say it. I don't want to say it, but I don't think it should be illegal. And if black people are really that offended by that word, why is it in their very culture to use that word when referring to other black people? But it's only okay if you say black. If you're really like, I don't hear Chinese or Asian people like Korean or Asians in their songs and their culture calling each other, yo, what's up, zipperhead? Like they don't like any racial slur that you would use on another. That's but like I don't see any other culture using a racial slur and putting it inside their culture, okay, and then getting offended by anyone else that is not of their skin color using it. But if you're really that offended by it and you didn't like it, you wouldn't use it in every single thing you do. I think back in the day when black people started using it, I think it was an intelligent move by using a word that had oppressed them and adopting it as their own, and kind of removing that power from it. But then they fucked up by saying, "Hey, no one but us can use it," because then all of a sudden that just means that it gave that word more power. Okay, it's all that ended up happening is the word that had so much power over you regained that power. Okay, you're causing it to lose the power over you by reappropriating it and using it in your own culture. But the second you started blocking it off, that's when it regained its power. So now you have a word that's power over you and its meaning. And guess what? If you never used it and didn't care when other people used it, it would have died off long ago and no one would give two shits about it. Like, let's be honest. That's how it normally happens. Words like these racial slurs, they end up dying off and we don't really say it anymore because most people aren't racist, so they don't care to use it.
Challenge any liberal to go to a skate park anywhere. 15-year-old kids dropping N-bombs every other word. And these are white kids, Latino kids, black kids, all to each other. It does not mean what the older generation think it means to these kids. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or bad thing. I'm just saying that's the reality. Go to a skate park and listen to these kids talk to each other. Because it just means dude.
By making it a word you can't say, the younger generation, of course, like memed it and turned it into a cool thing to say.
I don't think that's what it is to them. I think maybe to like millennials on the internet, they were like, we're going to do it. That's the joke. But if you go to skate park, the 12-year-old kid is just saying, my dude. That's literally what he's saying. It's like it doesn't mean anything to them.
Yeah, it's almost like we've taken the racial aspect. Like it's not even a racist word anymore. At least the way I said it was not racist. It was just like you said, dude.
Yeah. But going back to what you were saying, Alex, there is a, what is it referred to, a cottage industry of hating women?
Yes.
And I was talking to my girlfriend about this. There exist channels that have no ethos, no ideology, and there's a bunch of them, we'll leave them unnamed, because people can guess who they're. And it's like you ask these hosts, these guys, some of these women, what are your politics? And they'll just defer like, well, I'm not, I don't know, I'm just saying, because their whole thing is, I got a bunch of angry guys who watch me, and it feels good when we blame women for why they feel bad.
Do you think that's reactionary to several decades of overwhelming feminist propaganda saying that men are toxic, masculinity is bad, that you can't act in a manly sort of way, and now public school systems also treating little boys like pariahs and giving them ADHD meds? So they have to sit still and be quiet like the girls and just highlight things and organize stuff, right? Like we've criminalized masculinity to a degree and put feminism front and center and made it the air we breathe. So I think there's just a lot of reaction. I think it's a reactionary movement like a lot of the other ones that we're dealing with right now.
I completely agree. I'll tell you what it was like for me when I was younger. You know, I consider myself smart enough not to single out individuals. You know, maybe it's because where I grew up in the city or whatever. I'm not going to blame some individual for the actions of society or the group who want to change society. But it's fascinating growing up, being completely broke, or being homeless. I'm homeless when I'm 18. Nobody will hire me. And then, so when I'm 16 and I go to all of the businesses in my neighborhood, what job can a 16-year-old guy get, right? I don't know, clerk at a candy shop, ice cream shop, grocery store. Guess what? They don't hire guys. They just don't. It's overwhelmingly, at least when I was growing up, you go to a grocery store and say, hi, I'm looking for a job. Guess what? You find all the cashiers are girls. There are some boys, you know, I'm not saying they don't hire at all, but it was like 75-25. All of the shelving and the facing, 75-25 girls. I went to Baskin Robbins and I'm like, I need a job. Everyone there is a girl. When I turned 18, what job can I get? Manual labor? Yes, it pays nothing. My friend's sister comes home one day, we're playing video games, like it's like 11 o'clock, and she's got $200 and some dollars in cash. And my friend's like, he was like, oh, how much did you make today? And she's like, oh, like $230. And then he was like, oh, wow. And then I was like, you made $230 in one day? She's a server at a pizza restaurant. And I was just like, I just worked 11 hours. I lifted 50,000 pounds and I got paid $40. So it gets really frustrating then when all of that stuff is around you for these entry-level jobs. And then you are told it's your fault, you're the problem, and you have all the privilege in society.
Yeah, that can be kind of ridiculous and frustrating. What men need to understand is it's going to suck for you in the beginning. Okay, it's going to suck. Okay, being 18, you're useless to society. You mean nothing. You're expendable to society. Okay, so you got to spend 12 years, you know, from 18 till 30, to earn your place to be someone of respect, I guess is the word I'd use. Okay, because you know most people don't really give two shits about what you say until you turn 30. Okay, when you turn 30, there's like this change where, you know, all right, you've been around the block. Okay, you've been around the block long enough that we can, you know, take what you say and heed it. So that's what happens. So 18-year-olds need to understand that, you know, hey, you ain't shit in the world and you need to earn your place. Women, they're given the place because they're women. All right, they're the weaker sex, so we need to, you know, give them an extra help or two. Okay, and it's just what it is. And this bitchy and moaning doesn't have anything to do with that. But I understand what Tim's saying. It's like it's really annoying to have you know, deal with all this crap and then be told that I'm the problem, it's my fault, and blah 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 blah. It's really annoying. But this is my advice to all you men out there, especially the young ones. Don't give a fuck. Okay, just say I don't care. Like, I'm just coming here to do my job, contribute to society. I don't care if you think I'm the problem. I don't give a shit. Okay, fuck off. I'm here to do my job and to do it well. I'm here to make my way in this world. So stop giving a fuck what the world says and thinks and just do your job. Because guess what? No matter what you do, no matter how you complain, no one gives a fuck about you. Okay? No one gives a fuck about your complaints and whines. All right? Just go and do your job. And who cares? All right? If at some point when you actually made it, you want to do something about it, fine. But until then, no one gives two shits about you.
That being said, you know, when you start getting older, guys start getting older, it starts to flip.
Yeah.
It inverts. And
another thing, I saw privileges. It's always funny to hear the word privilege and all that stuff when it comes to, you know, all that stuff. But when you ask these women and you see it happen on Whatever or Fresh and Fit, you ask them, it's like, all right, what rights and privileges do men have that women don't, besides, you know, being able to have a bunch of sex and blah 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 blah. Okay, what's the and you know what you know, tell me. And every time they're just like, oh, I don't know. So it's every single time they're like, I don't know. They can't answer you because they have no clue. And it's just a talking point for them. Okay, most of this stuff's just a talking point for them. They have no idea what they're talking about
for whatever reason. And then women start complaining about it. So
okay, again, the reason it flips is because generally men will earn their place to have that respect. Okay, to gain that value. That's why it ends up flipping. Okay, if a man, and it's not for every man. If you're the same dude that you were 18, just older, no one gives a shit about you. But if you're someone who participates in society, either blue collar worker or an entrepreneur, whatever you are, but you're contributing to society in some sort of way, then the respect is given, and because you've earned it. And women can start complaining about it because then they have to start buying their own drinks at the bar. That's why they're complaining about it. All right. If women kept, not having to buy their own drinks at the bar, they wouldn't really care. Okay. And also, it's feminist propaganda telling women, like, hey, your ex, this is, you're valuable here. This is your value. Work hard, be like a man, and earn money, blah, blah, and work hard and earn a career and shit like that. And then what women end up learning is, hey, guess what? Men don't fucking care. We don't care about your job and shit. And then, so they get mad because they get propaganda against. And then they're like, well, I was told X. And then it turns out X isn't real. Yeah, it's not.
So, my thesis on this is society, because of like evolution and biology, all that, values women at young ages, obviously, because having babies. Men have no value because they have no skills to provide, to protect, or protect a family or generate value and resources. So if you look at the scientific research, you see that a social value of men starts at the bottom and for women starts at the top. But what happens at 28 years old? They meet. Right. This is where women are going, hey, this is BS. My life is getting worse. And men are going, hey, things aren't so bad.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Once I hit 30, my life did actually get better. But I also think
like I said, it's always when you hit 30 that people start respecting you for some reason. I don't know why, but at 30, you're a respectable individual.
And I guess this is different than the point you're trying to make, but to what Rachel was saying, when it comes to men and women, the digitization or the digitalization, I don't know what the word for it, the dating pool, I think that's what's making it so hard to make connections, because we said this last night on your show.
With these dating.
Oh, yes. We said it last week on your show. The dating apps are so toxic and superficial, where people are just swiping and the girls get hit up way more than the guys. So it kind of makes men mad at women. I don't know how else to describe it, because they're sending all these messages and women are playing them. These women are getting like,
it's because those men are weak. All right. There's no point in getting mad at a woman for her nature. All right. They're going to play games with you. They're going to test you. They're going to shit test you, etc. There's no point in getting mad. Okay. You can either continue pursuing or just drop her and move on to the next. Those are your options. But getting mad on a woman for her very nature, it's useless and stupid.
So many more messages. So I think like dating in this dating world that we have, this modern dating world, is why men are starting to hate women so much. And I think that's why men like that content where women get lampooned.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of what you were just saying, but also, so
I don't. It may be partially a hatred of women that maybe men like it. I think they just like the fact that women aren't getting their ass kissed every 20 seconds. I don't think it really comes from a hatred of women. I think maybe there's a portion of that that's accurate, but I don't think it's entirely just I hate women. I think it has to do with more with the women have been their ass kissed this entire time. And it's nice to see that they're getting exposed to the actual truth, and not being pampered and praised for doing everything that doing things that we all do because we have to. Like, I think that might be more of it. I don't know. Maybe you could consider that as what the fuck am I thinking of? Maybe that's a hatred. I don't think so. I think they're just tired of women being they're getting praised for the simple shit, and it's nice to see men to be like honest, like, hey, this is how reality works. Okay, like I think we understand that women live in a sort of fantasy, and it's just nice once in a while to see someone else telling them like, hey, this is the reality of the world. The fantasy that you're living isn't accurate.
All of these things combine, and then you'll get a guy who's got frustration for one reason or another, and then a YouTube channel pops up with like, did you know women be dumb? And the guy's like, yeah, you know what I mean? And like, people got to get into the real world. You got to go. You're talking about these dating apps, and this is why they bumble. Women on Tinder, they open their mailbox or inbox or whatever it's called, and 17,000 messages, and they just scroll through and look for a guy who's got an attractive picture, and then hit it and see what he says, and then respond. Men swipe on every single woman. They don't care what she looks like, and cross their fingers that one of them swipes back.
Yeah, I think it's we do have a gynocentric social order right now, which we did not have for all of prior history. And it's to have things so radically inverted in less than a century. It's not surprising to me that psychologically people don't know how to deal with that and can't keep up with it. And it's just everything about daily life is so radically different due to this massive wave of feminist propaganda that started late 60s, The CIA funded and pushed a lot of it through the Congress for Cultural Freedom, through Operation Mockingbird.
Where they pushed feminism through Mockingbird?
Yes, they absolutely did. So Gloria Steinem was recruited out of Smith College to push the feminist agenda, and they used CIA money to fund Ms. Magazine and a number of other pop culture phenomenons that came out of the 70s, like the Stepford Wives movie and like the Mary Tyler Moore Show, a lot of this kind of stuff. It was to kind of convince suburban average American women that being at home, being a mom, having babies was like oppressive and holding you back. And don't you want to go out and have a career and have an exciting life? Like,
what's the reason for that?
So there's a bunch of reasons for that. One is the Rockefellers had just created gender studies departments.
Okay, why?
So in an effort to liberalize the West, separate it and set it apart from the Soviet Union was a big reason why the CIA was behind it. It was part of a larger culture creation effort from the CIA.
To make us more communist?
No, to make us more liberalized. So
they're going in the direction of communism.
Well, that's what ended up happening because Nelson Rockefeller chose Sandra Harding to push feminist epistemology. Standpoint theory is what it's called. It's the kind of the root of all the critical theory stuff that permeates the universities now. But the reason they liked it was because you can use standpoint theory, which says there is no objective truth. There's no objective timeline of history. We can kind of create it to be whatever we want. So that's how you get this transgender stuff. You get a lot of these, everything is a social construct, very Marxist. But the Rockefellers liked it because you can use it in whatever direction you want. So they don't really care about capitalism versus communism or West versus East. They care more about propaganda, mind control, and pushing public opinion in whatever direction they need to. That's why you'll see, like you talk all the time about how the left and right are so different now than they were even 20 years ago. Like the pro-war version, of the liberal left is now what the right is saying. 20
the anti-war.
Yeah.
Former anti-war, but people moved over.
Right. But it just makes everything so fluid and easy to push around. And they wanted the other really obvious reason to push feminism is you get all the women out of the home and into the workforce. You have twice as many incomes to tax. You have kids that are in daycares and state-run schools where you can give children the values and the history that
where you can indoctrinate children a lot easier and quicker because, a lot of these people don't have children. So they got to indoctrinate children so they can continue their belief set moving forward.
You want to give them.
I don't think the tax thing, the double taxation thing is correct because if you have singular income homes, the buying power you're taxing is the same. And so it just led to rapid inflation. It strained the work.
Yeah, but there's a lot of single women now, single mothers, to be accurate. But, it is true. And marriage is on the decline now as well. So, Tim Pool's incorrect here is there is a double tax that you get. You're getting, wait, hold on. So the population of USA in 2020 was 333.29 million. And so let's see. So 48.2% of people are married. So only, a little under half of the population is married. Means the other half is not married. And also, that percentage is including gays and all that stuff. But, almost half of the population of almost half of 333.29 million of those people, there's double taxes right there. So that's a lot more than it used to be. And plus there's more men there's more women than there are men.
Workforce. I love this. There's this graph that lefties like to show where it's like right around the end of the 70s, you see wages, you see like inflation keep going up, but wages stay the same. And they're like, what was this all about? This is because they were going after unions. And it's like, no, that's when women entered the workforce. Competition among workers doubled. And that's going to depress wages. Guaranteed.
So why do you think suddenly in the 1970s we saw this huge number of women enter the workforce? Like they just organically decided they loved careerism, or do you think it had something to do with all the propaganda telling them that you need to have an education and have your own money because if you don't, you're vulnerable and your husband can abuse you? And
but we have to get a bit more reductive because what you're saying is absolutely true. Where does this come from? And I blame men. Weak men. Men are weak. Men continually grow weak. And an element of what's going on with the feminism.
It's always the men's fault. It's always the men's fault. Kind of ignoring the fact that it's not really men. It's a select portion of men who saw value in trying to get women into these positions. So again, they could double the workforce, tax them, indoctrinate the children because women aren't the work. lower wages, so they don't have to pay as much. A bunch of factors here. These were top men that were doing this. It wasn't all men. It's not all men's fault. It's not all weak. It's not even weak men's fault. It's the men that were at the top that, hey, let's do this. We can do this, and there's not much. We can do this and increase our profits and et cetera, influence the culture, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I'll mention a lot of what we're seeing is really, really bad. Like no fault divorce. It just basically meant marriage is over. It's like you're dating now. That's it. You're dating with a special placard from the government, but you can just leave at any moment. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
And these are bad things. However, all these guys that are watching these anti-women channel, like I try not to be a dick to people who want to figure out how to better their lives. Like if I see a guy going to the gym, I'm gonna tell him like he's fat, he's overweight, whatever, he's struggling. I'm gonna be like, bro, you got this. You know what I mean? So I see these guys who are watching these channels, and part of me is just like, that's stupid. But I'm not gonna hate on a guy who's actively investigating. They may not understand completely, but they're like, why is this thing happening? But I'll just put it this way. Part of what we're seeing is actually good. You know why? Weak men will fail, and they deserve to fail. And I will mock their failure.
Well, what about act like Star Wars sucks? I mean, this does.
I'll watch it. And where are the strong men to lift the burdens and the heavy rocks to make good stuff? So here's what I'm saying. You got a bunch of guys that are sitting online, overweight. And again, I'm not making fun of everybody's overweight, saying everybody's overweight is a failure. I'm saying you've got guys who are not trying to better themselves, who are not trying to exercise, who are not cleaning the Cheetos off their mustache, who aren't.
Tim.
That's right. I'm looking at you, Alex. They're not wiping their armpits.
You know that I do eat a lot of Cheetos and stuff. Yeah, Tim knows that. That is
what we're seeing right now is, for one, we can go back 100 years, 200 years and talk about suffrage, and it was weak men across the board who were bending the knee and could not maintain social order. They just gave up. But I look at today and I'm like, well, look, it's interesting. Maybe what's happening needs to happen. This is natural selection.
Yeah.
A society has emerged because men became weaker and weaker. They could not provide for what women wanted, and they could not provide stability in social order. And now you have these fractured systems where young...
Yeah, but then women entered the workforce that ended up lowering wages. And so wages got lowered. So they weren't actually... It's not that they didn't want to or anything. They were unable to because the wages got lowered because we doubled the workforce. So again, it's not really weak men's fault. It's the top men who decided to profit off of on the backs of men.
Men sit around complaining on the internet, removing themselves from the dating pool, complaining they can't get in. Meanwhile, I know dudes.
Yeah, I can agree with that. That these losers who sit on the internet, eat Cheetos, and blah 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 blah. Complain, hey, you can't. You can't, I can't get a woman, but you're fat sitting on there Cheetos and doing fuck all. Yeah, I get that. I understand. That's a good point.
Who are swimming women and they're short and they're wealthy because these guys are like, here are the cards I'm holding in my hand. I am going to figure out how to maximize my capabilities with this. If, you look at a lot of these channels like to highlight these dating apps where women, they only want the top 20th percentile of attractive men. And so that means 80% of men are just out of the dating pool. And I look at that and I'm like, sucks for you, I guess, dude. I don't know how many times you got to read Jordan Peterson's book to figure out you don't just get to exist and get a woman. Like, there was one I was watching. I'm going to shout him out, Homath, because this is credit goes to him, despite the fact I'm being right.
I like his work. That's what I'm saying.
He shows the 10 through 1 men and women and how women go up. A woman who's a 1 wants a man who's a 4.
Right.
And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't think a woman who's a 1 is getting anybody. And like,
that's not true. Wait, I have to cut you off, Tim.
Yeah,
Because
they shockingly
if you've watched my,
Let me
No, any woman can get a man. It's not that hard. Men are horny; they want sex, so it's not hard.
Ever watch My 600-Pound Life? There's literally 600-pound women. They always have a boyfriend.
No.
They always have a boyfriend on that
see, a
show.
600-pound woman's like a 4.
What is one, like a burn victim?
Yeah.
No, burn victims could be 9s. Wait, for real? Like
Burn victims can be 9s. Or okay, Tim. Okay.
Being subjected to a horrific accident doesn't reduce your value.
Yeah, I know, but looks wise, like,
Yeah, we're talking about looks, aren't we? Are we doing
No.
that?
how do you rate?
Oh, you're doing
Dating-
total value.
Yeah, total marketing,
Okay.
total dating value. So
Well, that's not the scale. Look, no guy gives. Look, the reason men approach women is based on their looks. So their looks get them in the door. Okay, the scale is for looks only for when it comes to women, because it's all guys care about. Well, it's not all guys care, but it's what guys initially look for. Is the attractiveness. So it's a burn victim's not a 9, and this total market thing, it's not. No, it's dumb. This is a dumb scale.
women have babies.
Mhm.
That means it's very, very hard to be a 1 woman.
Oh, that's true.
Right. So a one woman is like a barren, mentally deficient, limbless autist in a nursing home. And to be fair, there are men who will abuse that poor
Yeah.
creature. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, in that regard. But my point to home math was like, men are not ranked based on appearance. If you're a guy and you think that your number rating is based on appearance, you've not done any.
It's weird. Tim's doing this. He's right here. He's 100% right. Is men's, you know, it's appearance is a very low total, low. It's very low on the scale. Okay. Ugh, sorry. But you know, it's not as high as men want it to be. Maybe, I don't know, but it's more in their achievements, their provisionings, shit of that nature. So he's wrong on that front. But for some reason, he decided to rate women on their total market value when that's not important. Like you go out with a 9 woman and she's you know, a bitch, a cunt, and all that stuff, and you know, annoying and shit like that, and you'll still fuck her, okay? Because her value, her initial market value, is her looks. If she's hot enough, you'll put up enough just to sleep with her. So it's not a good scale to try and do this total market value of 1 to 10 for women, because men will still bang them regardless, because that's what they value. But you know, you get with a 5, and you know, she may not be the prettiest, but she cooks, she cleans, she's quiet, she's peaceful, she doesn't give you much of a headache. When you come home, you just relax when you're around her, and you don't have to, like, have to be, in your full masculine 24/7. Not meaning that you go home and cry like a bitch or anything, but you don't have to, like, make sure she's in her place at all times and shit like that. You don't have to do that type shit. And you can just relax. Okay, still be masculine, but just relax. You know what I'm saying? Like, like with 8s, 9s, and 10s, you're gonna have to, be in your masculine at all times. You gotta, be in, you gotta hear the, be careful of the verbal jujitsu they throw at you, and the nagging and all this stuff. You gotta always have to, like, be, handling, not handling, but you always have to be on your guard of, in a sense, with these girls. But then you get a 5 who's just a natural feminine woman. She's not like she's not, a model or anything, but she's attractive and shit, but she's quiet, she's feminine, and when you get home, you can just relax. You don't have to be on guard or anything, getting ready to, okay, what does she say? You just, she's just a feminine, submissive woman. And then, so, that total market value is great and all, but it's not what gets women through the door, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Went on a tangent for no reason, apparently.
Any of the reading.
Right.
They Science of Sex documentary from a long time ago. They took 10 pictures of 10. No, I think it was like 100 men and 100 women, and then they had people come in the lab and rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 for attractiveness. They then took those pictures out to the streets and said, "Here's a picture." Went to a woman, said, "Here's a picture of a guy. How would you rate this guy on a scale of 1 to 10?" Guess what? The tall guy in the flannel with the rugged good looks and the wavy hair, they were like 9, 10, ooh, 9. And then they did. They showed this frumpy, chubby guy with thin hair and glasses and ugly. And the women were like, ooh, 5, 4. Then they added biographies. They made the guy in the flannel a manager at a theater who made $35,000 a year. They made the fat guy a software engineer who made $500,000 a year. And guess what happened?
It flipped. Yeah.
It evened out.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden the frumpy ugly guy's a 6 or a 7. And it's like, you got to be kidding me. That ugly guy, well, he's rich. He can provide. And so men get mad.
Yes, because that's what's important to women. Like, your looks aren't that important. Most women want to be better looking than their guy anyways. So, of course, their looks don't matter. They're provisioning. They're able to provide for a family, because that's what most women want. That's what matters.
At women for being gold diggers. And I'm just like, that's the stupidest thing in the world.
Well, it depends. If by gold digger we're using like Myron's definition, where it's every woman's a gold digger. Some are just better having the shovel. Gold digger in the sense of wanting someone to provision for them and everything like that. But will add value. That's not really a gold digger, okay? But I think when we generally mean gold digger, what we're generally talking about is a woman that adds no value. Okay, she's just hot. Okay, she's just hot. She doesn't add any value. She's fucking useless, but she's really good looking, and all she wants is a guy for money, and that's it. Okay, I think that's more of the gold digger. But a woman who is attractive, maybe not like a hot, but attractive, a 6 or 7, but also, will, submit to their man, doesn't, waste a bunch of his resources, uh, and takes care of him, cooks, cleans, all that shit that we, brings peace and all that shit. But is looking for a guy with money, then I wouldn't really call that a gold digger in the traditional sense. But like, I think a woman that adds no value and is only looking for a guy for money, that's a gold digger, absolutely. Like, no matter, like, as long as he has money and I provide no value except being able to use his credit card real well, that'd be a gold digger, which is fine. I don't care. But I don't. I think that's what we typically mean when we're talking about a gold digger.
That's like what we were designed for. Like these people, they always contradict themselves with their logic. Like they want women to be a stay-at-home mom or whatever. But in order to do that, you got to have somebody who at least can bring in enough money to make that possible. Like I feel like women don't really care about, like, I don't really care about looks so much. You're just looking more for somebody who's competent. You feel like, okay, you're somebody I can actually trust. Like you've got it together. You can lead the family. And then somebody who has the ability to work or will work. It's not really so much the money, it's the ability, will you go out and work? So I think throwing women under the bus for that is kind of stupid, because it's ultimately like I
don't think men really throw women under the bus for that. Okay. I don't think we generally, I think we've skewed it. Okay. I think there's been a skewing where, again, it's every woman that wants a guy with money is a gold diggers, these losers. But I don't think that's most men. I don't think most men view every, a woman that wants to be provided for as a gold digger. Again, I think it's that woman that provides nothing but looks and sex, of course, and then just wants a guy with money. That's a gold digger. I think there's no two ways about it. I think that's a gold digger. That's fine. But again, I have to agree with when Myron says, like, all women are gold diggers. Some are just better at hiding the shovel. There's not really anything wrong with being a gold digger as long as you provide value. Okay. And I think the gold digger term we should use is, again, the attractive, the woman who provides nothing but looks and sex and wants a guy for money. But if she provides looks, sex, and then cooks, cleans, takes care of her man, will take care of the house, shit like that, submissive, all that stuff, and wants a guy with money, I don't think that's a gold digger in the traditional sense. So I think Myron's view on this is correct. Is every woman's a gold digger that are just good at hiding and shovel, and that's okay. I think women should be gold diggers. I just think they should also provide some extra value other than I'm very hot and you can bang me.
Biology forcing them to choose somebody based on, we think this person can allow me to stay at home and raise kids.
Yeah, there a lot of guys who
anything is traditional.
Right. A lot of guys who aren't going to do the work. I saw this meme on 4chan. It's a viral 4chan meme, green text memes. Have you ever seen them? And it was a picture of that. Was it Hamish and Andy? I think the comedians were. I'm not sure. Remember that one, Alex, where they're like, "Are we the baddies?"
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It was that picture. And then he's like, my friend came and started complaining about this girl. He started saying, like, she has been like, she's like a gold digger. She's snooty. She's elitist. He asked her out and she refused. And she decided to date some loser guy. And then he was like, oh, wow. He's like, yeah, I hear that a lot. So he said, I decided to look up who this guy was. And he's like, he's an athlete. He's fit. He's 6 feet tall. He works at a charity helping children. And then he was like, my friend is obese, lazy, doesn't want to go to work, won't wash himself. And he was like, I think we're the bad guys. Like, yeah, like evolutionary biology and psychology. Women want to find a guy who's going to protect them from a bear. Are you that guy?
Well, I think the problem we have now is that's great if women do have, like Lily said, the intention of being moms, having kids, and they want a man to provide because they're going to have a family. But the issue we've run into now is that that's not what most women want to do. The average woman is having like 1.6 children now. The average first age they have a baby is like 30 or 31.
What's the average body count, Rachel, you probably know?
Oh, it varies so much depending on what surveys you look at. It could be like, some of them say like 8, some of them say a lot higher. I think it's probably higher because
it's higher.
They're all lying.
They lie. We all know that they lie. So I don't know about the body count, but it's just like, if women wanted those things from men for the purpose of having a family, I think that's fine. But sadly, they don't seem to want to do that. So now or they wait until they're like 35 and they're like, well, now I want to have a child. And as a result, the United States for the first time has a rising maternal mortality rate due to the advanced age of first pregnancy and pregnancies in general. So it's like, we're kind of at this weird impasse where if women want men for resources, but you're also a career boss babe who has her own money and you got your own bag and you don't need a man for anything, then you can see why dating isn't working for people.
We should teach the history of Sparta in our homeschools.
Or just watch the movie Idiocracy. Everybody's seen. Have you seen that movie?
Of course.
At the very beginning, why everybody's getting stupid because all the idiots are just having babies, and then the people that are smart and that don't want to waste their money only have one baby, and that's literally what's happening in society today. And it's just Venezuelan immigrants having like 10 kids come up to the border, and Tim and I would not have 10 kids.
You know what they did in Sparta, right? Do you guys know about what they did in Sparta?
With the babies, how they would like.
Well, I don't know. I've heard that they would leave the baby out for 24 hours, and if it died, it deserved to die.
Yeah.
They're like, it was not strong. Yeah,
Wow.
they would just like leave it and
Yeah.
walk away. But I'm not saying do that. The only way to get a headstone on your grave, if you were a man, was to die in battle, and if you were a woman, was to die in childbirth. And the reason I bring that up is not that we should literally follow that, but it's to show how a society valued having children.
Mhm.
Women were seen as heroic warriors for having children.
Yeah.
Men were worthless unless they died fighting to protect their families.
Mhm.
And then what we have now is I blame men. Because I think you said this last time you were on the show that equality. You said something like equality is the choice of men. If at any point men decided, do you elaborate on that?
Yeah, because men have the monopoly on force. Any notion of women's rights is going to have to be enforced by men. So any illusion we have that women have rights is men saying, yes, we'll go ahead and enforce those rights for you. And you're right. I mean, if you read my book, it was like progressive era industrialist men who tend to be the type of
And is what you're trying to say.
well, they tend to be, so like think of Bill Gates, right? Not the most alpha dude, but very smart, became very successful and wealthy and rich. And it becomes Revenge of the Nerds to a certain degree, I think, where it's like for that type of guy, it's advantageous to have women's liberation because that's how those guys, at least they thought, we're going to get this sex with no strings attached if we do this sexual liberation stuff. And what they are finding out is that's not the good deal that they thought it was.
But for a lot of guys, it is. For the top 20 percentile,
Yeah.
they're getting free sex whenever they want with no responsibility. And like feminism has greatly benefited like a lot of guys. Look at the top 20%.
Yeah.
Now they can sit around all day doing nothing while women go work and produce value and do labor, come back, preach about how liberated they are, give the guy free sex, and then the guy says, why buy the cow and you get the milk for free?
Ironic, isn't it?
Mhm.
Isn't it a little ironic?
Look at this. I asked ChatGPT. The average body count for a woman between 25 and 44 is 4.2, and for men it's 6.1. And you know what that means? Fewer guys are having more sex.
Yes, absolutely. And you have this giant bottom of the pyramid group of guys, like you said at the beginning, who are feeling left out and like they're never going to get a girl. Which
They're going to burn the place to the ground.
Well, the situation in general is not sustainable for like multiple reasons. You have the conversation you guys had last week about how all these girls thinking jumping on OnlyFans and making money that way is a good thing, but it's having every girl be an Instagram model or a sex worker produces no actual value. There's nothing of value being actually produced in the economy. It's just money that's getting recycled from people who actually are producers. And combined with the super low birth rates, we're already seeing like logistical problems, supply chain problems. You have Japan and Canada, using the elders for diapers that are old and young. It's not a sustainable situation, and the correction is going to suck. There's multiple that can happen, but none of it's going to be
And
fun.
still.
Wait, is there assisted suicide in Japan? I didn't realize that. Is that big? I know in Canada they started doing it. In
Yeah.
Japan, is that big too?
Yeah.
I don't know about assisted suicide in Japan, but they have honorific suicide.
Sorry about that.
Separate-
Yeah, I know that's a big deal there. They have the forest where they hang themselves too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is
Yeah.
wild. That they,
You just imagine how wild it's going to be because South Korea's birth rate is 0.8.
Yes.
It like
0.78.
0.78. Wow.
0.78. So the average Korean woman isn't even replacing herself.
That means there will come a time where you'll go to Korea and there'll be abandoned cities.
Yeah.
Because there's not going to be the labor force to maintain a system like that. Japan too.
they can get as many Venezuelans as they want. if they-
I mean, we should just send all of them over to South Korea. You know what I
That's
mean?
what we
Like,
should.
occupy it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one country I can pretend to be concerned about because everyone's got their exception for foreign aid. So I'll choose South Korea. But we can also send all these people to Ukraine. Have them go to war there.
Oh gosh.
Well, this kind of brings up our question about like, okay, if we're going to have women in conservative or right-wing media, like, is that a paradox? How does that work? And I think it is something of a paradox to have, like, you look at the TPUSA women's leadership summits that they have, right? It's all these boss babe ladies and they're having a leadership summit. Or like, this was one of my big criticisms of Trump. He and his daughter had this huge program to get moms back to work. And I was like, why? Why do we want all the moms to be at work? What are you doing? And so this push to like, moms have to work and moms need to be leaders and entrepreneurs and business people. Why are we doing that? And especially, why are we doing that on the conservative right? That would be my question. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I mean,
I think that's good if it's bad.
well, this is the one thing. It's like women in the workforce. I do think that obviously some women just want to be a stay-at-home mom, but some women want to work. I mean, I don't think it's just all feminism. I mean, I think that plays a big part of it, right? But don't some women want to do something like artists, creative types, like you work technically?
Yeah, well, there's a difference between working and then there's there's a difference between working and a hobby. Okay, most women want a hobby. They don't really want to work though. Okay, they don't want to have to put in the hours and do a 9 to 5 and shit like that. But they'd like a hobby. Okay, they'd like a hobby or something to keep their keep themselves occupied after they're done with the cleaning the house. But they don't want to work. Okay, they want a hobby. If it makes them money, cool. But like in all reality, it's they want a hobby.
Right?
Yeah, now at 43, after I already raised.
Well, I'm
5
just saying, but
kids.
you enjoy, but
But I
how,
stayed home to
of
take care
course,
the kids.
but Rachel, I know you get a lot of joy from writing books. You get joy from doing podcasts like this.
Sure.
So, and this is probably most traditional women are not doing what you're doing. They're probably not writing books. They're probably not putting themselves out there online. So it's like, it's kind of a weird situation where, of course, you just want to be trad and stay at home, but at the same time, you do get joy from grinding and working. So
See, that's the thing. I really don't. The grinding stuff, that's why I could be doing a lot more. And everybody's
Yeah.
like, why isn't your YouTube bigger? And why don't you post more? And why don't you do more? And I'm like, because I still have 2 kids that are teenagers. So they don't need a ton as much time as they did when they were little, but they're still the priority. And so is my husband. Taking care of my husband is a priority. I assist him with everything he's doing first. And this is like my side thing that I do when I do have time. And sometimes there'll be 2 months where I don't have time for it. So it just doesn't get done.
Hey,
well, the only reason I say that is just my mom
Yeah, again, it again, women like hobbies. Rachel likes having like this side stuff. It's a hobby. Arguing with a woman, it's a hobby. Tweeting, it's a hobby. It's not a real job in the sense of she doesn't want to be there doing a 9 to 5 grinding every day and all that stuff. She'd rather just take care of her household, take care of her husband, and then do her job, and then do her side job. My wife's the same. My wife's the same way. I just bought her a bunch of nail shit. She likes it. She's a little creative and stuff. So she has the hobby of the designing some nails and shit. And she doesn't give two shits really. She doesn't want a job. She doesn't want to work. She keeps saying she's gonna go back as soon as she's done and as soon as the kids are old enough and shit. I don't believe it at all. I don't think she will. Okay. And it's not it's nothing wrong with that. Like I think most women work because they have to and not because they actually want to. They want to, be home and have a side job, like not a job, but like a hobby or something to do to keep them preoccupied when the kids are asleep and shit. They don't want to go and actually work a 9 to 5. It's not true.
My mom never worked, and she hated working. I kind of wish my mom did work a little bit, so she had some fun and did something because she just dealt with me.
Why do you have to work to have fun? Like she could have gone out and done things. Like again, hobbies. She doesn't have to work. She could have a fucking hobby.
Fun?
I don't know. If you do something you love, it can be fun. Like I love my job, thank God. But I'm just saying, I'm not saying all women should work, but I don't think that if a woman wants to have a career, that is a bad thing.
See, but my problem is moms. Like if you're a mom, you already have a career. You already have a full-time job. Raising a child is not a part-time nights and weekends gig. You cannot do it that way. And if you do, something's gonna take a hit at home.
That's true.
So,
I do agree with
I
that.
would say like the thing is it's kind of a rock and a hard place for like the single people. Like we're not talking about moms right now. Like we're just like, what are you supposed to do if you don't find a good guy who even wants to get married? Because like whenever I went to college, you first of all you get really excited like freshman year because you're like, man, I'm gonna like get a boyfriend and then I'll get a husband because that's what you're raised thinking. You always think you're gonna find your person there, and then you quickly realize that first freshman year, ooh, people don't want to date. They definitely don't want to get married. So then you graduate, you get a job. It's even harder to, like dating apps are weird.
Yeah,
like you're not going to find anybody quality on there. So like what are you supposed to do? Panhandle? Like you have to you have to work. You have to
bills.
Well,
right,
this
exactly.
is what I think
So
a
I
lot
don't
of
know
the
how to
problem
fix
is.
that.
I think we raise women and we tell them focus the first 18 years of your life on getting good grades so you can get into a good school because you have to go to college. I was told this all the time growing up. You're going to go to college. You have to go to college. You're a loser if you don't go to college. You've got to get a degree and you've got to have a career. And so we tell women to do that, right? And then they go to college, they spend 4 to 6 years, they get an average of $40,000 in debt. They're 22 to 24 by the time they graduate. And then you have to establish your career. You didn't just spend 23 years of your life to like suddenly stay home. So it's like, well, I got to establish my career. So they spend the next 5 to 10 years doing that. And then we expect them at 30, 32, 35 years old to suddenly like flip a switch, hurry up and get married and have a buzzer beater baby at the last second and transition to staying home. And that's super difficult for women on multiple levels. And it leads to a low birth rate and it leads to a lot of women never getting married.
Well, I got to make this one point too because I know you're going to get in. Why are buzzer beater babies bad? Aren't they good? I know because I've had a lot of
better than nothing.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody's making fun of buzzer beater babies. I'm like, isn't that good? They beat it. A buzzer beater shot's the best shot in the game. You need to, I mean,
I would rather you have any babies at all over no babies.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So-
But I think we give people backwards advice. I think women should be focusing their fertile years on building their family. And then once you're done with that, if you want to go off and do other things and have a career, I have friends who spent time while they were, raising their kids to go to school very part-time so that when the kids got much older and were about to leave, mom had a degree by then. And then if she wanted to go do something, in the workplace, she could. So
Yeah, that's what we should do. It's like if you really absolutely want to have a job afterwards, there's nothing wrong with that, but you need to focus on the family. The family is important. The family is key. So, take a few years, take a, class here and there, do some online classes, shit like that. And, it might turn, you might have to turn a 4-year degree into more like an 8-year or even a 10-year degree and do all of that while you're raising your kids and stuff. And then by the time, they're old enough where either if you're unfortunate and decide, oh, I want to go and send out my kid off to school, or if you homeschool them, then you're gonna have to wait, I don't know, 17, 18 years, maybe, whatever, however you decide. But eventually they'll get to the point where they're, you can go and have your job. It just will take you longer, and that should be fine. That should be fine. Okay, you should turn a 4-year degree into an 18-year degree if you're taking care of your family. That's what you should be doing.
I know a couple people, and I'll keep the specifics for their privacy private. But these two people worked in the same career field, man and a woman, same age. They were friends, and they worked in entertainment. The woman got pregnant and decided she wanted to have a kid in her early 20s, and the guy kept working. 10 years later, she's got a 10-year-old daughter. Her career is exactly where it was when she got pregnant. She had a kid. She tried to keep with it. Dude was running his own company with dozens of clients, and she was salty about it. She was jealous. She was like, I had a kid, and now this guy is doing all these really, really amazing things. And my response to her was just like, why are you mad? That's what life is.
Right.
Like, there will never be equality between men and women. Thank you. Having legal equality? No, of course. Civil equality? Like, yeah, no problem. I still don't believe that'll happen, but that can be written down. That's different.
Right.
But the idea that a man and woman who are identical in every single way, and they're working at a FedEx, right? All they got to do is stack papers and ship them out. Anybody can do that job. It's a no-brainer job. And then both decide at 22, hey, we want to have kids. The woman says, I must take time off of work to have kid. The guy says, my wife's pregnant at home. That's it. Like, the fact that women have kids means even if the woman works through her entire pregnancy and only takes off the minimal amount of time, which is what, a couple weeks?
Yeah,
At least. And I'm saying
a couple weeks. Yeah.
I'm saying like the extreme minimum.
2 weeks.
The extreme minimum. That's still 2 weeks. The man doesn't have to take off.
Right.
Now I do think guys should take time off to help their wife with their kids. You know what I mean? But this imbalance means
Yeah, absolutely. I think paternity leave should be. I agree with Tim here. I think a paternity leave should be, it should be worldwide or statewide or countrywide. And Med should take 3 months off and help their wife, especially if she's a new wife or a new mom. Okay, I don't think men really quite understand how difficult it is to those first couple months of being a mom, especially if you're a new mom. It's hard. It's very hard work. My wife had a breakdown the first day or two after she was a mom because our child would not settle with her. She only settled with me. And it really upset my wife. So I think it's very key. I understand as men, we want to grind, continue grinding so we can provide for our family. But I think it's very key for the first 3 months to, if you're able to take that time off and spend it, grow some attachment to your kids and shit and all that, but also, help out your wife and stuff so she can, manage that. I think it's really ridiculous that, that there's a lot of men out there. I think, don't take paternity leave. Keep grinding. You got to help them out. Okay. They're in a very vulnerable state, especially after giving birth and, after the couple nights in the hospital and coming home for the first time with this new thing that they got to take care of that feeds off of them. Okay. They're in a very vulnerable state and men need to understand that. And they need to take the paternity leave and just help out their wife, help out around the house just for a little bit. It's not unmanly. It's actually the most manly thing you can do, in my opinion, is to, in that, when they're in that vulnerable state and they are for a bit, to, be around and take help and take care of things. Even if it's watching the kid while they sleep and your wife goes and takes a nap for an hour or so. Okay. It's really dumb how some guys are, and they're like, oh no, I gotta keep working, blah blah blah. Even just take some time off. It's nothing big deal. You're not gonna die. All right, 3 months is great. You can get attached to your family as well. You can understand. You need some bonding time with your family as well, and you got to bond with this new life you help bring into this world, and so that when days are really fucking shitty, when you're at work and it's a really shitty day, you're able to look back in the memories you spent, bonding with your children and gain some more motivation. Like, hey, life's shit, but I got to keep going so I can take care of this kid of mine. So it's real dumb.
That there are a lot of women, especially now with our degenerate society, where a guy will get a woman pregnant and be like, I ain't doing nothing for you, and leave. Yeah. And the woman's going to be like, I can't do anything. I have a kid. I'm not getting rid of it.
Well, I think we should do something more like.
Well, that's the woman's fault. All right. If you end up sleeping with the dude and he ends up leaving, pick the bad dude and it's your own damn fault.
Sparta did, at least, like,
put the babies in the woods.
Not put the babies in the woods. Maybe not. You only get a headstone if you die in childbirth. Okay, maybe not that extreme, but like to venerate motherhood and hold it in as high regard, and not say, because I had this happen to me. I had people that when I had my first child at 20 were like, "Oh, it's such a shame. Rachel's life is over. It's over for her. She'll never recover. She'll never be anything now. It's such a shame. She's so smart and she's just going to be a mom." And I was like, "Excuse me, but if I went and got some great job, they're going to replace me the day after I die. Me having 5 children that I raise well is going to have a ripple effect into the future that I can't even quantify. Why do you think that's not worthy?" But me having a job is.
I think this would be a great bit for like Seamus Colligan from Tunes. It's like a woman on her deathbed, surrounded by all of her children and grandchildren, this room full of people, and she goes, I wish I got a better job and didn't have any of you.
Yes, exactly.
Like, never going to happen. Never going to happen.
Well,
Chelsea Handler is going to be crying her eyes out when she's alone in her cold, sterile hospital bed.
But like people are trendy, they go along with, like you were saying, my mom had 5 kids and people always like gave her shit. Like, oh, how do you support your husband? Like you're almost shamed for not working,
right?
And then you're weird if you've got a lot of kids. So
yes,
the way to fix that is like you were saying, men have to take responsibility and actually want that. Cause a lot of guys now like definitely don't want to stay at home mom. Like they expect you to work.
I don't think that's true. maybe I don't know. Maybe it's true that they don't want a stay at home mom. I just don't see that true. I think most guys do want stay at home moms. I don't think they're able to afford it. Maybe I think most men want stay at home moms.
You know, like
I don't think they expect you to work. And this may be her own experience being a single mom coming in. But yeah.
got to fix that. And then we also have to like fix the culture to where it's not, where it's a good thing. Like you were saying, you have to venerate the housewife. That has to be a good thing, not an embarrassing, shameful, oh, you're some like hick in the woods with 10 kids.
I got this great list here for all the feminists. We can write on feminists. You guys like doing that, right? Here are the top.
I do.
Here are the top jobs held by women in the U.S. ranked by the highest percentage of women in those roles. Preschool and kindergarten teachers, 97% women. Speech language pathologists, 96% women. Dental hygienists, 95. Childcare workers, 94. Medical records and technicians, 93. Secretaries, 92. Nurses, 90. Vocational nurses, 89. Elementary school teachers, 81. Human resource specialists, 70%. Oh, heaven help us. Now, among men, 90% of carpenters. 90% of carpenters are men. 90% of automotive service technicians, electricians, construction laborers, truck drivers, plumbers, pipe fitters, steam fitters, machinists, software developers, general maintenance, and first line supervisors of production and operating workers. 84% men.
Yes.
This is like you can see the polarization. Now here's the best part. I said list the jobs, the highest rate of mortality with the percentage of men and women in that job. Logging workers, 135.9 deaths per 100,000, 97% men. Fishing and hunting workers, 86 deaths per 100,000, 98% men. Aircraft pilots, 95% men. Roofers, 99% men. Refuse collectors, 95% men. Drivers and truck drivers, 94. Farmers and ranchers, 92%. Structural and ironwork and steel workers, 99%. Construction laborers, 96%. Ground maintenance, 95%. All of the top 10 jobs with the highest mortality, ranked from highest mortality to lowest, only in the top 10, are all 95+% male jobs.
Yes.
I don't want a woman flying my plane. I don't know if that's racist or not, or sexist.
It's racist.
I flew here and I saw a woman in the cockpit. I was like, Lord help us.
You had a female pilot?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if it's a
She's real
transgender.
chatty too on the line.
No, well, see, a male to female transgender pilot, I would feel more comfortable with than probably just a woman. No, I don't know. Like you talked about Turning Point USA earlier too, and I guess that was to my point where
Well, look, the reason we're uncomfortable with women for the most part is due to the fact that we know that this is a DEI for them. That's what it's become. It's not based on your skill. Like prior to all this DEI, and we got to get women in the workforce type shit. Prior to all that, if there was a woman in the work in the plane, there may still been some hesitancy, but there wasn't as much because you knew, okay, for a fact that this woman earned her spot here. Okay, you knew that this pilot woman earned her spot to fly this plane. But now when we got DEI, these women drive, get women to workforce drives and these all this other crap. And blah blah blah. We don't have as much confidence in the woman because for all we know, this is a DEI hire and she barely passed. Okay. But back then, when you had a woman in a particular position, and there wasn't all this DEI crap and forcing woman quotas and shit, you just knew that at the very least she earned her spot here. She earned it. She had to because it wasn't like let's get every woman in here. She earned it. So I think that's what this has to do with this hesitancy of women pilots and women in various workplaces and shit.
Maybe it's like they're not giving the right leadership advice, but I would argue I think they are giving the right leadership advice because I guess different strokes for different folks. I don't think there is one angle or one lifestyle that fits everybody. So that's why
That just sounds like mumbo jumbo.
Does it?
Yeah, it really does. Like, just different strokes for different. Yeah, to a certain degree, but there's only one group that can have babies, and we need women to do that. Like when I say,
so do you think they should go there and be like, just get pregnant women? That's all you can do is have a baby. That's all you're worth is just pooping out babies.
What's wrong with that?
I'm not saying
babies. There's nothing worth.
I'm saying there's nothing else in life other
there is other things in life
than that. I mean,
for a woman that should.
There is more to life than just having babies, but the top priority for women is having babies. The greatest value that women have is having babies. The greatest drive women should have is having babies because that is what they're designed to do. Okay, men are designed to provide. That's why we go and break our backs and kill ourselves to try and provide for a family. Women are designed to have babies. That's why their greatest joy is having babies. Okay. It's not just the only thing, but it's the top thing, the top priority that women should have is having babies.
Should be your primary objective.
Okay.
Absolutely. It should be the center of your life. And it always has been through all of history until the last 30, 40 years.
Well, I'm not saying women should
are
have
the only
babies.
people who can do it.
I'm not saying women shouldn't have babies, but I just think that,
Why?
one
Preference? Just you prefer for women to be able to like do stuff. I mean,
No, I'm just saying
crazy.
women, if their main goal wants to be having babies, they should. If their main goal wants to be writing books or being content creators, they can do that too. I mean,
but just like do whatever. Men
Do whatever you want all the
men
time.
don't have the
No.
luxury of just like, oh, follow your goals and your dreams. Just
that's what
follow
I'm trying to do. Is I do believe people should
Because when
follow
you
their
tell
goals.
women, well, Tim just pulled up what women do for jobs. And fun fact, it's almost the exact same stuff they were doing 100 years ago before suffrage. It's almost the same list. I think the CDC has a page with the top 20 careers that women had in 1920. Super similar. Some of the names of the occupations have changed a little bit. And the main thing is they swapped farm labor for HR work. That's kind of the main
It's
trade-off.
literally the same
It's
thing.
the same thing. So now women are doing
Laundresses.
women are choosing to do the same things they did prior to women's lib. Only now we get to pay for daycare to have some other random lady raise our baby while we work our retail job. And we get to pay income tax and we get to finance a second vehicle and pay insurance on it. So like the cost of mothers working versus what they actually bring home, not such a great ratio, not a very smart way to do things. And it has had an effect on men's wages to some degree to like this more gynocentric economy. Aaron Clarey has a great book that he just wrote about the effect of this female-centered economy and like what the ramifications are. So, I mean,
It's a self-correcting force, though.
Well, this is the point I guess I'm trying to make is obviously I think women, it's so important that they do get pregnant and have babies. But like in the Black community, we've created a system where women get rewarded for having babies out of wedlock instead of just having babies just to get more social services. And in that sense, I don't think that's great. I don't think that's smart.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that entirely. The highest rates of abortion are in the Black community.
Yeah, but I know that might be a stat, but I know a lot of Black people, I feel like they never get abortions.
but out of wedlock births and welfare spending, if you plot them on a graph from 1960 to now, they go up like this in tandem with each other. And why do we have so many out of wedlock births? Because feminism pushed birth control, abortion, no-fault divorce, sex out of wedlock as liberation. Hey, ladies, you should be having sex outside of marriage because that's freeing, it's liberating. You should be like the guys, you should stack bodies. We wouldn't have that if it wasn't for feminism.
Well,
So,
and that's why there's so many OnlyFans though, is because there's not that nuclear family. And so these women have daddy issues. And so that's where they want to get their gratification by showing their
I mean,
boobs on the
it's daddy issues, but it's also attention. They
Look at
love the dopamine hit of the attention. Yes,
This
there
is
you go.
ChatGPT. I'm a big fan. I told it to, when you said plot a graph of welfare spending and out of wedlock births, I said do that. It did it since 1980 to 2015. Take a look at that.
Me vindicated again. Look at that.
That's
And I want to say I'm pro-life. I'm happy all of these Black single women had babies. I'm not saying that, but but it's just there is a thing where just having babies just to get more social services or something, it seems kind of.
But that's not what I'm.
Yeah, like this is kind of being disingenuous with Rachel's point, and it sounds like that's what she's saying. But she's not saying have babies to have babies. She's saying have babies in a family and have a family unit. That's what she's saying. And I think I don't know if it's intentionally or what, but Stein is being disingenuous. She's clearly not talking about have babies for the sake of having babies. She's saying in a family unit have babies, and you can continue to protect, to have the family unit survive and shit. That's what she's saying. We'll be right back. I'm gonna get some more coffee, and then we'll be right back. So don't go anywhere. Just wait. All right, sorry about that. I gotta get some more coffee. Tired. All right, let's continue on.
Advocating at all. I'm saying venerate motherhood. I'm saying encourage people. Make it shameful to have out of wedlock babies. Make it shameful to get divorced just because you wanted to find yourself. I'm on a journey. I have to discover myself. So sorry, kids. Daddy's gone. Mommy's gonna run off with Mr. Johnson because he makes her feel sexy. That's the shit that needs to end.
I got an idea. It's an award ceremony. It's called the Mommies.
There you go.
And it is categories of best moms, and the moms come on stage and get awards.
They kind of did that in the Soviet Union. So in the Soviet Union, the Bolsheviks made abortion legal and paid for in state hospitals for the first time in world history. And it got so bad that within less than 20 years, they had 3 abortions for every 1 live birth. And Stalin came to power and said, we got to put the brakes on this.
Wow.
They had just had a war. They had just had a famine. And he was like, we're going to get wiped out. So they actually created a program to give medals to women who had more than like 5 babies or something like that. You got like a presidential medal of honor for being a mother of a bunch of kids. So you can
do a bunch of stuff. You could do like the mom with the most babies, every year wins. And it's like Cheryl has,
the Octomom. Do you remember Octomom?
Right. No, but I
you got 5 or more babies, 0% tax rate. All right, 5 or more babies, 0% tax rate, and you have to be married to get that 0% tax rate too. And you have to stay married. That's what we need to do. And as long as you stay married, even when the kids hit 18 and leave the house, you still get that 0% tax rate. That's the incentive right there.
I mean, like, so it's like, it could be the same mom every year because she's cranking out a baby every 9 months or whatever. And it's like Cheryl, once again, with her 7th year in a row of having babies, and they're all Irish twins, like just endless. She's working it. But no, you could do stuff like the success of the children, success of the community. So it's like a mom who raised kids and like does soccer practice or something and help, things like that. Not
runs the homeschool co-op. And
right. And then in this co-op, we've seen testing rates hit the 99th percentile among all of the kids, and everyone's clapping and cheering.
I'm not trying to throw salt on this, but what a boring award show. I mean, who wants to watch the Mommies?
Women.
Who want? And yeah,
would you watch the Mommies?
I would. Hell yeah, I would.
All women would. You know why?
I'd be in there competing.
Because women watch what TikTok tells them to watch.
True.
Because women are social.
Women are easily propaganded against. So if you made this into a propaganda, really good thing type shit, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, women totally buy into it. What are you talking about?
Women are subjective, men are objective. The focus of most men is object-oriented. The focus of most women is subject-oriented. My favorite example of this is, I don't want to pull it up, but there's the meme where a guy takes a picture of a thing, a woman takes a picture of herself in front of the thing.
Right.
Because women care about people and men care about things.
Yes.
And you can call that good or bad. I think it's neutral.
Yeah.
There's a good reason why guys are interested in solving the puzzle and accomplishing the goal. It benefits society. And there's a very good reason why women care about people. You need to care about people and you make them, right? So, I think if you make...
And I think also with women, the reason they care about people, it's a survival thing. Okay. If they care about people, if they do something wrong, that could potentially ostracize them from the tribe, then other women will stand up for them and hopefully convince people not to exile them. I think that's what really has to do with it. That's why, I think Tim's also right. It's because they make people, but I also think it also has to do with a social defense that, we care about. If women think, okay, if we care about people, no matter what, then, we won't be ostracized. I don't think women like ostracization. I think they really they may do it like among people they don't like and shit, but they're neutral on someone. They don't want to ostracize them. They don't want to exclude someone because they think maybe down the line they may be excluded and hopefully someone will stand up for them. I think that's also partially what it has to do with. They like people so that way they can't get thrown out of the tribe if they fuck up. They'll have someone that'll back them up. I think that's a portion of it, what has to do with it as well.
Made the Mommies, and then Instagram made that a pop-up in everyone's feed, women would love it. They would take their cues from what society deemed positive and effective. So a good example of this is the young teenage girls who developed Tourette syndrome. You guys hear the story?
Yes.
They were on Instagram watching this prominent, it was Instagram and TikTok. She had Tourette's, and so the millions of young girl followers were watching her and developed Tourette syndrome by watching her because women are social creatures.
Yes.
More so than men. Men are too, but
women are very easily propagandized. It's one of the things they kind of found out through like MK Ultra when they were looking at, all the data that came out of that. Women are very easy. There's like this top little percentage and a bottom little percentage of women that are like super easy to propagandize and like almost impossible. But most women are in that middle group where, whatever they see repeated all the time is what they believe about the world, which is why your friend felt salty and jealous of her husband having this career because she's been raised in a milieu that says you're behind, you're a loser, you're not.
Man.
Yeah, you need to be competing with men in order to be considered a successful woman.
Well, and I think that's where the marketing is important. Like the right hasn't done a great job at marketing marriage to women. You know what I mean? Like there's these fringe groups of, I don't know, the red pill movement maybe. They kind of don't make it very appealing. Like say you're marketing a product, you can have the best product ever, but if you do a terrible job marketing it and advertising to people, no matter how great the product is, nobody's going to want to buy it. Like if you make marriage out like, no, you just stay home.
Lily has a good point here. Yeah, the right, the conservatives, they're terrible at marketing. Leftists are really good at marketing. They also have this idea of just type of like just, yeah, like she's right. The right's not really good at marketing anything.
When you have kids and you have no life and you just serve your man, if you say it like that, obviously that doesn't sound very appealing. But if you're like, this is liberating. You get to stay at home, you get to have your babies, you get to have your life, you get to have fun with your kids. I think that's a big deal. Like, we're not doing a great job marketing traditional marriage to people. And you're not going to get in a lot of like college girls are not going to go for that,
I do love these videos from these women who are like, I've been working for 3 years. I hate this. Work sucks. I want to stay home. And it's like, you did have that before. But there was one viral video several years ago where a woman, she's like 23, and she was like, why am I at work? Why feminists, I don't know if you guys remember this video. She's like, feminism ruined everything. We used to get to stay home with our kids and just watch TV and cook food, and the guy.
It has been coming more frequently, these videos of women going viral and complaining, saying, I don't want to work, I don't want to do this, etc., 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 etc. It's been happening a lot lately. Like I can't. There's been several more viral videos that's been going on about this, and it's interesting. I think we're seeing a cultural change going on. It's taking some time, but eventually we're going to see that change happen. Maybe not in our lifetime, but eventually there's going to be a cultural switch. Yeah.
Guys did all of the work for us, and it's like, used to, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And guys are pissed about it too.
Yeah.
Guys like going and chopping wood with high mortality rate risk.
Right.
Guys like doing it, and then they want to come home and they want to feel comfortable and relaxed with a beautiful woman and their family. And I can't speak for women, but I'd be willing to bet they don't want to be out chopping lumber. That's why none of them are working that job.
Exactly. Well, the dream that feminism sells to women is that you're going to go to college and you're going to become a boss babe. You're going to either have your corner window office where you're flying to Paris to close the deal over brunch, right? Or you're going to be Taylor Swift or Beyonce and you're going to have an empire and be like a boss babe. You're going to be Kylie Jenner and have this really successful cosmetic company. And as we saw, that's not what happens for most women. Most women end up being a retail manager or, an administrative clerk of some kind or something like that. And we're supposed to think that's cool and better than being a mom. But this is why, if we're going to talk about having conservative women or right-wing women in media, I think they should be promoting family, marriage, motherhood. I don't think we need a women's leadership conference because I personally think men should be the leaders doing the leading, especially in politics. I don't want female leadership in politics personally. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I see the TPUSA Women's Leadership Summit and I'm like, it's a bunch of pantsuit boss girls. Most of them have no kids. Most of them aren't married. And they're going to do what for us on the right wing? I don't know.
I plotted a graph of wedlock births and women in the workplace.
Yep.
I bet, and obviously you do the same thing with welfare spending.
It is ironic. Is the right is? I hope this isn't. You guys can't hear this. It's hot where I'm at right now, like super hot, and I'm drinking coffee, so that doesn't help. But it's like, what is it, like 90 or something, 80? It's currently 72, but it's about to give 80 here soon. 76 actually. So it's hot as fuck. So I got to use my portable AC. So hopefully it's not coming through on the mic. I'll listen to it here in a second and make sure. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So yeah, the right's like terrible. Like it's ironic, really, because they'll talk. They'll be like, women should stay home. They should do this, etc., etc., etc. And then you got like Tommy Lauren and Isabella Moody and I can't think of it, Candace Owens and all that stuff. And these are women, okay? They aren't doing what we're talking about. Like they're not staying home. They're out here talking, working jobs and shit, and grinding and all that crap, but they're not actually doing what we say we promote. Well, I guess the right promotes. Okay. They're not doing it. And like, even, again, like you could try and criticize Rachel, but Rachel's an older woman. A lot of these women are younger. Okay. And she's already raised most of her kids. Most of her kids are teenagers. Yeah. She has 2 teenagers. So all her kids are teenager or above. They don't require as much work as they did before. And a lot of these women are that are propped by the conservative movement. They're just having kids. They're hold on. Okay. But, yeah, or they're not having kids or whatever. So it's like the women they prop up aren't the women we're actually talking about. And the problem is the women we do that we're talking about, they're the ones that aren't going to do these things. They're just like, no, I have a family. I don't give a fuck about this. Fuck you. I don't care about politics. Go fuck yourself. Okay. So that's the problem with the rise. We say all these things, but then we go and promote and put ahead boss babes that spout the ideas but don't live it. And so no one thinks it's genuine. That's the biggest problem with the conservative movement.
Women in the workplace, you see the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the number one correlate for low birth rates is women in higher education. Around the world, the more you push women into university, the lower the birth rate goes. And it doesn't matter what culture, it doesn't matter what country. It's just the way that it works. You can only focus on one thing. You can't do it all. And that's what we tell women. Oh, you can.
Oh, I've been saying this for a while. You can either be a good mom or you can be a good career woman. You can't do both. I don't care what anyone says. You can't do both. One is going to have to suffer. Okay. You can either be a really good mom or a really good career woman. It's not going to be both. One has to suffer. Okay. And if I were you, ladies, I'd choose the good mom because motherhood is far more important than your job. Okay. Okay. Because what's going to bring you the most joy is going to be raising your kids, seeing them to grow up, seeing them go off, seeing them have families of their own, and give you some grandbabies. That's what's going to give you the most joy. It's not going to be working a 9-to-5 job and trying to compete with your man or any man. It's going to be miserable for you. But it's hilarious.
You can be educated and you can have a career and you can be a full-time mom and you just can't. You're only one person. And I think that's why women are so stressed out. 26.
Yeah. And I'm sure, well, what about men? It's like, well, here's the thing. They're not as important until the kids are old enough, get older and they require more disciplinary stuff. Like, when in the nurturing years, men aren't that important. In the formative years, when they start learning what right and wrong is, that's when men start becoming more important in the lives. But it doesn't take very long, or it doesn't require as much time as the nurturing does. It doesn't really take so much focus. It takes maybe a couple hours, a day or something like that. It doesn't take as much time, and you can do it. And it's something that happens throughout the years. Okay. But with motherhood, the nurturing stuff, that's a 24/7 thing. That's 24/7. All right. So that's why men can go on, do careers, but then go and still be a good dad. Okay. Because it doesn't require as much effort to be a good dad as it does to be a good mom, because mothers are supposed to nurture and take care of and all that stuff. And that's a full-time job as is. Men, we're disciplinarians. We gotta, teach our kids right and wrong, what's okay, what's not okay, stuff of that nature. And the kid fucks up, we gotta be, disciplinist. But that doesn't take as much time out of the day. While nurturing and caring is 24/7, disciplinary, it's like one or two. Let's be honest, it's one or two. And that's why men can be good dads and good career men. Just because the amount of time that it requires to do the things that we need to do as fathers, it just doesn't take so much. Sorry, ladies, it sucks.
% of all American women are on at least one psychiatric drug. Higher rates of alcoholism in women than we have ever seen. Terrible marriage rates. Nobody's even bothering to get married anymore.
I think it may be self-correcting.
I think it is. It has to be.
Society will wane. It will dip down into struggle, and then weak men who. I mean, look,
hitting the mic.
If you're a guy out there and you are out of shape, the average guy is 5'9", 200 pounds. Right. So if you are out of shape with no skills, there's only one thing that matters. Will you decide today to begin improving yourself? That's the only thing that matters. Because if you say no, who would ever want to have children with you? I'm not going to make myself better. I will provide nothing. That is the least attractive thing you could possibly be. And so all of these guys that refuse to do that, they can have kids. And then we complain like, oh, the birth rate's so low. Yeah, but I'll tell you what's going to happen. The birth rate's going to drop down. After a couple generations, weak people will cease to function because they're not producing. You need to produce to survive. You need food. Machines may replace a lot of this, but with a low birth rate, even machines and technology will not save people who cannot save themselves. Mm-hmm. And then strong men and strong women will start to have children again, and it will repopulate society. I feel like that's a mathematical absolute. Like not literally.
Look, strong men make a weak time, or make peace. Peace makes weak men. Weak men makes hard times. Hard times make hard men. Is that the saying? And Tim's right. Is the weak people are going to be left behind, and the strong. Okay, cool. I'm just making sure that so I got the straight. This is making sure that my fan isn't coming through the mic. But yeah, it is a self-correcting problem. It is self-correcting, and it's not that hard. It's just going to take a while.
Literally absolute, but it's like a trend that cannot be stopped outside of some massive intervention like nuclear bombs. And even if nuclear bombs were dropped in every corner of the earth, it would still be the strong that survive. And it may only be 300 of them, but 300 men and 300 women in various pockets of Earth hiding from radiation, but strong enough to survive. Give it a couple hundred years, and your population's back in the tens of thousands.
I don't think that's really accurate. 300. It's not that. I don't think that's accurate. 300 and 300. That's. I don't think there's enough diversity to increase the population. But I could be wrong. But I don't think that's accurate.
Give it a couple hundred years, and you got millions of people.
When I think we're already seeing that, like since the economy's bad, like people are really struggling now. You have to work really hard to even be able to just have it like a terrible apartment. So, and these bad times, I feel like are starting to make people wake up. Like the girls are starting to reject that, like even how you were saying, how you see a lot of these girls making videos like, why am I in the workforce and whatever, So I think bad times do bring people together and makes people a little bit stronger. So I think we are seeing a little bit of awakening. At least I've noticed it for myself, just because of like the bad times do create, like you were saying, strong men.
Yeah, I think male competition is going to sort things out to a degree on the men's side, but I think on the women's side, we used to have, so I've been accused a lot online of breaking the sisterhood, right? Because now the sisterhood is we're all feminists, we all party and sleep around and do our boss babe thing. And if you kind of like break that, you're in trouble. You're not part of the sisterhood. But the sisterhood used to be, for all of history until the last few decades, hey, look, we all have to stay somewhat chaste until marriage because that's how we get a good guy. We're never going to get these men to like give us kids and a family and take care of us and provide for us if we're all out sleeping around giving away the milk for free, like Tim said. So it used to be the women would self-police and kind of slut shame each other. And because if 3 of the girls in town are going around sleeping with everybody, it ruins it for the rest of us. We can't get husbands, so you can't do that. Well, now we have the opposite thing, and I think we need to reverse that.
I've got a new documentary called The Real Inconvenient Truth. And that is, since women have entered the workplace, it's tracked almost 1-for-1 with rise in global temperature. That means if we want to solve climate change, you got to get the women out of the workplace. You see this, Alex? Alex is stunned.
I am.
Case closed.
Blown away.
But the funny thing about this plotting is the spurious correlation. It's choosing. If we put it by single degrees, the global temperature is going to be very low. It's really just how you choose to do it. But the reason I ask this is because it is a fact that women in the workplace doubled the carbon emissions. Yeah. More women driving, more women on trains, more women on buses, more women on planes. More production, more labor means more carbon emissions. Mm-hmm. We got to get women out of the workplace.
That's right, Tim.
You know what we do?
See, Tim gets it.
Real quick, we should frame it as only men should have to work. Women shouldn't have to work.
Exactly. The marketing thing. Like that's a better strategy right there.
Yeah, it's feminist. Women shouldn't have to work at all. They should be able to just stay home and do whatever they want.
Yeah.
It's men who have to do all the labor. Ha! We win, feminists. Oh.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. Are the women in Afghanistan happy that they have to wear burqas and not drive cars?
They love it.
They love it? I don't know. I've never.
Well, out of sight, out of mind.
What do you mean? Because they're not on the road? They don't know.
No, you grew up in a society that says this is what the way things are, and most people are content.
Yeah.
Harriet Tubman said, I freed many slaves. I would have freed many more if only they knew they were slaves. She would go, Harriet Tubman would famously go to slaves and be like, be free. And they're like, why? She's like, don't be a slave. And they're like, huh? Like, whatever. I don't care.
Oh, yeah. The Bolsheviks had a woman named Alexandra Kollontai, who was their minister of social welfare under Lenin. And she ran this mass deveiling.
Yeah, that's also like it's an argument I hear for, it's a good point is if you don't know better, why would you care? Like, like these women in Afghanistan who have to wear burqas and shit like that. If you don't know anything else, then why wouldn't you be happy? It's the same thing with like when I listen to women argue against men wanting virgin women. They always go back, well, what if the sex isn't good for her? Blah blah blah. If she doesn't know what sex is supposed to be like, how is she going to know whether the sex is good or bad? Okay, it's that type of situation. But it's the same thing. It's if you don't know any better, then why would you care? Like, why would it matter if you don't know this? The so-called freedom we have, and you've only lived your life the way it is. Why would you think anything was why would you think poorly on wearing a burqa and stuff like that?
Campaign in Central Asia where the Russian Empire still ruled at the time, so they went to like Kazakhstan and different places where it was majority Muslim and all the women were veiled, and they tried to convince them to take their veils and their burqas off in the name of liberation, and it was disastrous. It had such a massive failure rate. The women didn't want it. The few women who did it got like beaten, things like this. So like they shamed her out of there. Like they kicked her out. They didn't want her or her silly program in their country at all. They completely rejected it. And she was like, I don't understand. I'm helping you. I'm liberating you. And they didn't want any part of it. Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony in their memoirs both said that the primary obstacle to suffrage was not men at all, but women. Women were too content. It wasn't because women liked being enslaved. It was because they said, we already have everything we want under male suffrage. We can be educated if we want to. We can work if we want to. But we're going to lose all the privileges and protections we are now enjoying if we have this women's liberation stuff. So the women didn't want it. It was super unpopular with women.
I didn't realize women's suffrage women were the ones that were combating.
Well, yeah, only about 4% of women who were polled in like the pre-voting, where they do like a referendum, only 4% of women wanted suffrage. So that actually the National Women's Suffrage Association refused to let women vote any further on whether or not they wanted to vote. I'll say that one more time. The suffragists prevented women from voting on whether they wanted to vote because they always said no. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I think women should be drafted. think we should draft all the women right now. They should all sign up for selective service, and if they refuse, they lose the right to vote.
That's right. If you want to be equal, and be equal.
That's right.
Yeah, I know. But see, it gets to this weird thing where
Here's the thing: even if you drafted women, it wouldn't actually be equal. It really wouldn't, because men and women aren't equal at all. Like you're not going to get the same amount of work from a drafty woman as you would for a drafty man. It's not going to be the same amount. It's not going to be anything on par with the male draftees. So this whole we should draft women too to make it equal and stuff. I know that's a joke, tongue in cheek, and kind of like showing feminist hypocrisy. But even if we did so, it still wouldn't be equal. We wouldn't get the same amount of work as we would out of male draftees as female draftees. It just wouldn't be. They're not going to be able to do the work to the level of men. It's just that simple. Is you're not going to be able to do any of that.
Where we're talking about like the red pill manosphere, and I mentioned this earlier, where there was a video which Dana White hitting his wife, and they're like drunk in Mexico, and I tweeted, I'm like, this is disgusting, and I got so much hate from conservatives, like equal rights, equal lefts, and if a girl hits you first, you should hit her back, and I think that's kind of weird that there's
No, that probably wasn't conservatives. That was probably like growth
incels thing. I just saw a lot of that, and I would just think that
it's probably more black pillars and stuff like that.
You would never hit a woman under any circumstance, even if she hit you in the first place.
Well, there's actually more domestic violence initiated against men by women than the other way around. It's just that men almost never report it.
Yeah, I don't agree with that, Alex. If like a 6'5" Soviet woman hopped up on T,
if Brittany Griner hit me, I still wouldn't hit Brittany Griner back.
But how tall are you? 6'1"?
I'm 6'4".
You're 6'4"?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Look, if there's some dude who's like a normal average guy, but like let's say he's a little like 5'7", walking down the street with a briefcase and a suit, and some large woman comes up and just clocks him in the face, I expect him to stand up and protect himself.
We saw that with the Antifa stuff. We saw these little 5-foot tall Antifa girls in flip-flops and leggings trying to attack like patriot dudes who were like these big guys.
It's like chihuahuas nipping at your ankles.
Right.
But I go to protests and get stuff thrown on me all the time by women, hit by women, and I would never clock one of them.
Yeah, but you're a big dude.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is the reason why we say men shouldn't hit women, it's because of the generality of women tend to be smaller with less muscle mass and bone density.
Mm-hmm.
But so I agree. If there's a 5'5" woman who weighs 100 pounds and she hits me in the arm, I ain't gonna cry about it. Yeah. I'm gonna be like, lady, nice try. But if a 6'5" She-Hulk walks up to me and swings at my gut, and boom, I'm like, oh man, like we got a fight on our hands. You know what I mean? Come on, lady, it's going down. Don't you agree?
Would you do a cage match with a woman if she agreed to it? I mean,
but this is the real question. It depends on the woman, right? Like me, no.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, you shouldn't hit women, but I think over time, women have forgotten the power that men have and the strength that men have. And I don't think we should hit women at all. But I think I've changed my views on the whole trans in sports. I'm starting to think maybe we should let trans in sports just to remind women, like maybe for a couple years, just to remind women the power that men actually have and the strength that men have. Because I think nowadays women have forgotten that. And that's why you get these women who go up to, a 6'4" buff dude and just smack the shit out of him and talk all this shit. And then, you get these wild videos. It's the lack of understanding. Like it's forgetting that you're a 5'7" woman in, nothing but, skin and bones and, lower muscle mass, lower bone density, etc. That, like women have forgotten that men can really fuck a girl up if they want to. And that's causing a bit of arrogance in women nowadays. So now I've changed my views on trans in sports. I'm thinking maybe we should let them in sports for a couple of years just to remind women like, hey, look, we're dudes. Okay. And we will own you if we want to. So stop fucking hitting us for no fucking reason or at all. Just my view on things. I don't think men should hit women. Although there are a lot of women that really could use a good smacking. Like those type of women. You've seen those videos, them talking their mad shit, and you're watching it and you're just hoping the dude clocks her. You just are. But I think we need for a couple of years at least, some women being reminded of what men are and what we're capable of doing, because I think they forgot that in the softness of society we have now. Again, shouldn't hit a woman. Don't hit women, guys. Don't hit women.
But my point is, self-defense in law is predicated upon the risk to your well-being. If a guy comes up to you and he's yelling at you and he's swinging punches at you, that is actually considered lethal force. If he hits you in that, you could die.
Yeah.
And so you can respond with lethal force. And then the left.
don't think that's not really accurate. Just because the guy swings at you isn't really considered lethal force. You can't, if someone comes up and fights you, you can't just go and gun them down. Okay, you'd have to have like a significant disadvantage. Like the dude's gonna have to be like a 6'5", roided out dude, and you need to be like a 4'11" nothing. Okay, for it to really be thought of as self defense or lethal force qualified. But that's not really accurate, Tim. It's even if a guy comes up and punches you and attacks you, you can't really pull out your gun and end him. Okay, you're gonna have to have some sort of, because people don't. Because again, you're gonna be judged by a jury of your peers, not by any legal expert. And most people, they don't view a fist fight as something. Is lethal. You think, oh, it's just a punch or not? They don't understand violence. Like people nowadays don't understand true violence, and they don't understand the dangers life poses. So I wouldn't pull out a gun and shoot someone just because they come up and swung at you. Okay, you're gonna have to provide something. Like if they have a skateboard or a pipe or something, then all right, they got a weapon, I got a weapon. All right, but if it's just a fist fight, it's not gonna really probably won't go well for you if you pull out a gun and plow.
Left responses, but he was unarmed. What do you,
Right.
dude? People die all the time from getting punched in the face one time.
Yeah. The other problem is that women are more likely statistically to use force multipliers when they attack men. So weapons, if
Force multiplier.
Normally, it's the same with women cops too. You see a lot of these women cops, they instantly whenever they get an aggressive man, they end up reaching for the tool belt more often, and more often than not, they end up grabbing lethal force.
crazy, you like that? A crazy woman comes at you with a piece of broken glass. You're not going to shove her. You're not going to
No,
If
no.
a big booty Latina, no, if a big booty Latina came at me with a frying pan, I would just block it. And
Okay, I just gotta tell you, if a lady was swinging broken glass at me, I would run.
Yeah.
You like, this is self-defense 101. You don't engage in knife fights.
What if you're stuck with her and you have to?
Like if I'm in a room,
Yeah, like she won't let you out.
and she got broken glass,
You see this
she's
with
going down.
domestic stuff where women will do that. They'll like break something and be attacking the guy and refuse to let him leave, and the guy will have to like physically do something to her to get out of there,
Yep.
and then the guy goes to prison.
Well, this is why men should have they should carry a bolas at all times. Do you know what a bolas is?
no,
You know what a bolas is?
What-
It is
So like a ball on a rope, you swing it and you throw it at their legs, and it wraps around, trips them. It's gonna be a very useless weapon.
2 weighted balls with a rope in the middle, and then
Oh,
you
the thing you swing.
swing it, throw it, and then it wraps around her legs, and she falls over. And then you jump over her, call the police, and say, we wrangled her up, but she got a knife, so be careful.
You could have a net gun, might be easier, and just.
You ever see those net guns they use on pigeons?
I've seen the one Rob Dyrdek had in Fantasy Factory.
Honestly, it'd probably be easier if you had like a dart gun, like a tranquilizer. That'd probably be better than a net gun. It'd probably be better if you have a tranquilizer. Just and leave.
Oh, really?
Awesome.
Fires a net.
Too bad we
got
can't
way
invent
too
a gun that can shoot like accountability at women, and then you wouldn't be physically hurting them, but they would definitely run.
We could. It's like when you pull the trigger, another woman's voice comes on and criticizes her for not fitting in properly.
Well, Rachel, you
That's accountability gun. That's funny. I missed that. I didn't hear that the first time I watched it. That's funny.
know stats. Who are more toxic, in your opinion, men or women?
Who are more toxic?
Yeah, like who's more toxic for society overall?
Women now, because they're not under any sort of there's no mechanism to control their insane behavior.
So you think women are?
I think women are now. I think we're in an inverted social order where there was built-in control mechanisms.
There's also no accountability for women. Women don't hold themselves accountable. They don't hold other women accountable, really. With men, there's accountability everywhere. Everything you do, you're accountable for.
To balance the power for both sides before, and what feminism did was erase that and give women incredible amounts of unearned power that they don't know what to do with. So I think, yeah, I do think there's like toxic femininity going on.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
What, Tim? You're looking at me that some women are toxic as hell?
Well, I don't know.
I just think that, in this society that we live in, it's changing, that women are being toxic, and that's why men probably want to have an artificial intelligence girlfriend and just crank it to Pornhub all day.
I feel like most guys would probably just sit on the couch, zone out, and say, "Bleh." Like they go out, they lift heavy thing, they come back, they sit down, and go, "Bleh." And then the political elements of conflict and crisis overwhelmingly come from women. And I'm not saying that women are the cause of wars. What I'm saying is that women are social and men are less social.
Mm-hmm.
So you're more likely going to get a woman saying, "I want these things to change." And then you're probably, this is the trope, right? The L bunny sits on the couch and the wife says, "I want these things done." And the guy goes, "Oh, here we go." Like, okay, I'm going to go do it. I have to do this. This is my job. I just think this, probably a better way to put it, because that might sound accusatory of women, is the driving force of society is women, not men.
Well, what was it? Women were approved for credit cards later than men. Isn't that how it works? So is that
That's the way it should be.
Is that how it should be? That
Yes, we
women
talked
shouldn't
about
have.
that last time I was here. You got to be careful, Alex. You're gonna start. We're gonna have to start calling you simp on a blimp.
I am simp. Have you never heard that? I get accused of being a simp all the time. I am a simp. I'm a woman lover. I guess I grew up, and I don't know. I'm a little bit of a simp. I agree.
You know why women didn't have credit cards and bank accounts until the 70s? Do you know why?
I don't know.
Most people assume just the patriarchy wanted to, be mean to the women and control them.
I don't know why.
So the reason why is because women couldn't legally be held liable for family debts or for racking up, credit charges or something. So everything,
Really?
only men could legally be held liable for the needs of.
But you could buy a house before. Women could buy houses before 1970.
Yeah, they could, but as far as like providing for the family and things like that. So there's this suffrage poster I always post to social media from New York from like 1912 or something, where it showed privileges for women under suffrage. And it said that in the state of New York, prior to suffrage, only men could be held liable for debt in a marriage. And even if the woman came in with money, so say you were an heiress and you married like a middle class guy, even if that was the case, you came in with your own money, it was still considered your money. And so if you owed money, so
It's probably where they're saying your money's your money, my money is our money.
say you opened a credit account at Bloomingdale's in New York, and the wife ran up charge at Bloomingdale's, she couldn't be held liable for the debt, only the husband could. So that's the reason they didn't have it in their name, but they were usually authorized users on all their husbands' accounts.
I think it's simple. I think it should be, we need to pass a law that says what we're going to do is the federal government is going to deploy individuals into the hearts of every major voting jurisdiction, and they're going to ask people if they support women's suffrage. We'll have a referendum on it, and if the answer is no, we do away with it. Right? That's democracy, right? But here's the funny thing: I guarantee you, if you went door to door and said, "Would you support ending women's suffrage?" You're going to get 65% yes.
Yeah.
And you know why? Because they think
Because people don't know what suffrage is. They think it's women suffering. They don't understand what we mean when we say women's suffrage. They don't understand it's the right to vote. It's hilarious. You see those, but a lot of people can't barely name a country. Come on.
means suffering.
Suffering.
They don't know what it means. My point is, and so I'm not saying everyone's going to be like, yes, no voting for women. They're going to be like, women are suffering. We should get rid of that.
Yeah.
Because people have already done this. They go to Times Square and they're like, would you help us end women's suffrage? And they go, oh, wow,
Yeah,
yeah, sure.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And if that's what they think it is, they should be voting.
I agree.
Well, they go to Times Square and ask them like the simplest questions, like where's Texas on a map, and they don't know.
My favorite is name a country that starts with the letter U. And people are like, Utah? Like, okay, look, you know those are edited because 90% of people are going to be like, the USA? What's the question? Like,
When my kids don't want to do their homeschool work, I make them watch the video of Miss North Carolina trying to answer the question about maps. Do you guys remember that?
yeah, what was that one?
Oh, it's the pretty blonde Miss America girl. If you Google it, she'll come right up, and it's hilarious.
There's a lot of Trump.
I show them that, and I'm like, if you don't want to be
Is it
this, you
this
better.
one?
Yeah, there you go.
Recent polls have shown a fifth of Americans can't locate the U.S. on a world map. Why do you think this is?
I personally believe that U.S. Americans are unable to do so because some people out there in our nation don't have maps, and I believe that our education, like such as in South Africa and Iraq, everywhere like such as, and I believe that they should, our education over here in the U.S. should help the U.S. or should help South Africa and should help Iraq and the Asian countries, so we will be able to build up our future.
Sounds like Joe Biden.
That's what I mean. They're editing that clip into Joe Biden's spot on the debate. Yeah, that
Oh my
means
gosh,
going
it's
around
hilarious.
like crazy.
So yeah, when my kids don't want to do their schoolwork, I'm like, do you want to sound like that?
Well, I guess I am a simp because I love that. Like I loved every bit of that. She
Hey, look,
didn't know. Like I thought that makes me
She's very
like her.
attractive. Well,
Well,
that's
she's
the thing.
attractive. She's not too smart, so she's probably easy to deal with. I mean,
No, it's just,
Here's the thing. You don't like that she's just dumb. You think she's hot. That's why. Look, if you're hot as a woman, you can get away with a lot of shit. You can be, crazy bitch. You can be borderline retarded. Okay. If you're hot enough, you can be both. You can be like, you got a wider ranges of leeway. Okay. That's all it is. If she was some ugly broad saying this stuff, Alex Stein would be roasting her. So that's not true. It's not that he likes it. He just thinks she's hot.
it's like the perfect woman.
like, so they,
Crazy hot matrix still is a thing.
there was, I think it was OkCupid data from like 20 years ago. No, it wasn't OkCupid. This was, I meant Science of Sex. They showed pictures of women to men, and this one's going to piss you guys off. Do you know what age men consistently rated the highest? Without knowing the age, just looking at a picture of a female, what age scored the highest in sexual attractiveness every time?
It's pretty low.
20,
20,
21.
16, 17,
Is 14.
14.
Oh wow.
And then when they added in information on the person, it jumped to 22.
Right.
But not like bios. It was like questionnaires. And the research found that men, so like this is the important thing. The average guy thinks teenage girls are the most attractive, and people don't know this, but for a long time, the models you'd see, you go to the mall and you see like the lingerie store, and there's like a woman with her like bra strap coming down. She's 15.
Yes.
15
Well,
years
even
old.
now,
American-
Yeah, I had no idea about that at all.
A lot of the
Apparel.
models are
Yep.
still like
really
under
15,
18.
16. And but something interesting happens when you ask questions. Guys don't. The reason why it goes up to 22 on average is because teenagers are incapable of supporting a family. So men want.
No, I think that's incorrect. I think it's due to the fact that it's. I don't think. I'll let.
They want predominantly good genetics, which is seen through symmetry in the body. But if the man finds out the woman is really stupid, her attractiveness drops way down. It really is true. Now, there are probably a bunch of guys that are like, don't know, don't care because I get free sex.
Okay. I think the reason it jumps is because, one, the law, obviously. There's a social stigma of, obviously not, and, it's illegal to marry, date, or bang a 14 whatever year old. And then there's also another, movement of, women angry that men like 18-year-olds. So they don't go with 18, they go with 22. They go like to the middle of, where women are attractive, like roughly the middle, 18 to 25 is, let's see, 21. Yeah, so roughly in the middle. Okay, 22, it's roughly in the middle of the age range that men find women attractive. But that's what it is. Men don't care for, like, if she's borderline like mentally handicapped, that might skew it for like a wife and stuff. But if she's just dumb, you can fix that. Like, and I don't mean that like I can fix her until no, it's just like it's not hard to educate someone so they can be competent. It's really not that hard. It may take some extra work, but it's not that hard. And it's so if a woman's stupid, we can still work with that. If they're like on the like literally on the spectrum of like maybe being like mentally handicapped shit, then that might be a problem. But she's just dumb. It's not that hard to educate a woman into doing something that you actually it's stuff that is valuable to you.
If the thought process for a lot of these guys is I have zero responsibility, then they're going to be all over South Carolina. But if you're telling a guy you have a kid, it's your responsibility, they're like, not with her. Are you nuts? I'm going to ask her what she.
Again, like I disagree here, Tim. I don't think that's true. I think we'll be like, all right, well, like we'd probably give it a chance and see if there's potential. Like we go date her, try to educate her, and if she just couldn't get it, then we might give it up. But we'll go with she's dumb. It's like, all right, well, let's see if I can work this. Like, but if like that's why you should vet for a year or two before you even marry a woman. You can if she's really dumb, you can spend that year or two trying to educate her to be competent in to in some aspects. And if it turns out great, if it turns out she is great. If not, then look it off. But I don't think men are gonna be like, wow, she's really dumb. Like again, you'd have to be borderline mentally handicapped for guys to say no to a hot chick like for long-term spouse and shit.
You put the milk and it's going to be in the cabinet under the sink. What are you doing?
Right.
Can't live that way.
That's see that's different. Okay, that's borderline mentally handicapped. But like she's just South Carolina, like Miss Universe South Carolina, she's just dumb. All she is dumb. She's a hot chick. She's a hot chick. She's never had to be useful in her entire life. She's never had to work hard for anything. She's useless. But if there's potential in making her useful, men will give it a shot. Now like and like look, should you avoid 9s, 10s, and stuff? More than likely, yes. Just because they're extremely useless. They're useless individuals. But you could try and give it a shot if you want. But I don't think just being dumb isn't a disqualifier for a spouse. Unless until a certain point. Like again, after a year or so, and they're not getting it, they're just continuing being dumb. Then that's different. Yeah.
Yeah, my husband.
But from the initial get go, is
Actually said that one of the things he likes best about me is that if he has to go somewhere, if he's busy, because he's very work focused and he's like a total workaholic. But he's like, look, you're very competent and I don't worry. Like I don't worry about, having to be focused on work because I know that you can handle everything.
Yeah. I get that. So, she's right here. Like I said, a woman can be dumb, but we can maybe teach her to be, competent in some aspects. And if she's able to get that, then great, awesome. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm like reversing my opinion. I don't think I am, but maybe it might come out that way. But yeah, I agree with competence is key. I just think that unless a woman's just a complete moron, you can teach her to be competent. And most men would give it a shot to try and teach a dumb woman to be competent. But that's what I love about my wife. She's competent. I don't have to worry about shit. Okay, I go and do my job, take care of the kid, take care of go to work, take care of the, provide for the family and stuff. She just handles everything. I don't care. Okay. I don't have to worry about much. when it comes to the household, when I get home, the house is gonna be clean, kids are gonna be taken care of. She's competent, absolutely. So, thanks, hon. My wife just brought me breakfast. That's right. She did her job. And stuff like that. She comes while I'm working here. She made me breakfast. She brought it down. I didn't have to ask her. I didn't text her saying, "Hey, can you bring my breakfast down?" She just brought it down because she knows I'm working here. Now, obviously, I'm going to do something when I come up and help her out and shit. But that's I get what Rachel is talking about here. I agree with it 100%. I just think men are willing to try and create confidence in an incompetent woman if they have the ability to do.
And you've got it down. So I think that's a big draw. I think it's really helpful, but we're training women to be competent at all the wrong things. So like so we wanted to talk about the e-girls today, didn't we? The right-wing e-girls and this phenomenon of like
Paradox.
Yeah, the paradox of having a girl in a bikini selling coffee or beer or being on a calendar.
Lily just did that. Are you making fun of Lily now?
No, but Lily didn't like pre-plan this either, right? She didn't like plot to have a career based off of this. She had a viral moment because she said something edgy and she's beautiful. And so the next thing is a right-wing company is going to approach and be like, "Would you like the sponsorship so you can sell our beer?"
We like conservative coffee, right? Beer,
right?
Yeah, and I like women in bikinis. I mean,
I have no problem with it.
I think that's fine. But what we shouldn't do is take those women, and I got into some trouble at the beginning of the year with a certain person who was baking a cake about this too, right? We shouldn't take those women, push them to the front, and make them like the political mouthpieces for the right wing.
That's what the right wing does. They take a hot woman who does something viral or does something cool and stuff, and they end up being like, a spokesperson for their shit, and they just end up being idiots, or they end up being liars or grifters and stuff. So that's what happens time and time again.
Because if you were to be like, "Hey, what's the Fourth Amendment?" They're gonna be like, "I don't."
Yeah, but I want to come back to this. I hate that because they always accuse me of that. You bring up Josie. Like, Josie's not the main representative.
She was making a pie.
I know, or whatever. I mean, I'm just saying anybody. One conservative woman, they say Lily. She's not the face of conservatism. I mean, why do they make because somebody has a
Conservatives don't even like me.
Yeah, I know.
What are
But
you talking about?
I'm just saying Rachel's like one person because they're.
Here's the thing: is it may not be specifically Lily that Rachel's talking about, but she does have a good point. Is they'll take a hot woman who does something viral or edgy or something, and they do promote her to a degree, and it has nothing, and they end up shotgunning them in the face, basically, because most of them are grifters. It happens time and time again.
They're popular in that sphere. Now they're the face of an entire
But I mean,
movement.
like, wasn't it a patriotic beer company that?
Conservative dad's ultra right.
Yes, of
Right,
course.
right. They
She
have
got
to
some
be like that.
represent. She
Yeah.
doesn't represent the entire party. Is what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is, it's fine to have a girl be a model. We know that models sell product.
Like, what she's saying here is you end up promoting her to a high degree. You're trying to make them the face of the conservative movement. And that's what Rachel's talking about is they go and do this crap. They do something cool that you like. And, like, look. I mean, look at Lily. She said something edgy. She had a bunch of interviews. She got she was able to go to a conservative convention just because what did she accomplish? She said something edgy, went viral for it, and then followed it up with some nice things that we like to hear. And it looks like she might end up being a grifter. So it's kind of ridiculous that every time a woman does something that's like non-leftist and just spouts a bunch of stuff about that we like to hear, and she's automatically raised to the forefront of the movement and automatically granted access to a bunch of shit. But when you got someone like look, Rachel Wilson, she's an attractive woman, but she's like, 5 or 6 maybe, but she does everything the conservative movement promotes. She has a family. She takes care of her kids, takes care of her husband, does some political stuff on the side. Then you got Tommy Lauren or Candace Owens, and they're career women. They have, they have kids and stuff, but they're more career women than anything. And the conservative movement promotes these women all the time. But it's not even these specific women that you really have to look at. Like, just look at any of the women that talk in conservative movement. Most of the time, they're career women and not family, like not mothers. Like Rachel Wilson, although she wouldn't want it, should be the one that is, being promoted by these conservatives and propped up and stuff, but she's not. Why? She's not attractive. Like, okay, again, she's a 6, a 5, a 6, but she's not as attractive as Lily. If Rachel Wilson was as attractive as Lily, now of course she's 40, so obviously she's not gonna be that attractive, but if Rachel Wilson was attractive as Lily, because Lily's like 6, 7, I would say 7, probably a solid 7. But if she was attractive as Lily, she'd be the one going to conservative conventions, doing the promoting and shit like that. Okay, and that's what Rachel is talking about. Is we prop up women that really just because they say some nice things and they're attractive. That's what conservatives do.
Yes.
Hot girls sell products. That's fine. I'm not against that. I'm not jealous of beautiful women or any of that stuff. I'm saying don't automatically equate them with whatever your right-wing movement is, because I don't think it's actually a good look for you, because they're not even.
Well, but my point early on about the paradox of like the trad personalities, these women who are like, women should be mothers and at home, and check out my company for which I'm a millionaire with 1 million followers. I'm unmarried and I live in,
Right.
like there's a lot of, it's paradoxical.
It is.
I don't care. I mean, like the circumstances, but it's an interesting paradox.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer is. I don't know who's right or wrong. I know many women who advocate for traditional values, and they are single, wealthy girl bosses.
Yeah, and I think this is how we end up with a conservative right wing, which, by the way, because of this, I don't call myself conservative or traditional, because nobody knows what tradition, and we haven't conserved jack crap. So I say I'm a Christian patriarchist, which is something of a redundancy, but it lets you know what my beliefs are. I think we end up with a right-wing Republican Party where all of the famous people are Caitlyn Jenner, Lauren Boebert, it's like Marjorie Taylor Greene, it's Rick Grinnell. So we end up with women and gays and all these people that you wouldn't think would be pushing traditional American conservative values, because we're like, well, we have to appeal to everyone. We have to have a big tent, and everybody likes pretty girls, and this gay guy is really cool, so we're gonna so it's like how are we different from the left? It's a uniparty now. How are we different from the Democrat Party? We're just like the same social liberals, but with like a little bit less taxes, or we love corporations more.
My issue with like only men voting is that half of guys are dumb as a box of rocks. And so, George Carlin famously said, think about how stupid the average person is. Now realize half of them are stupider than that. With greater male variability, are you familiar with?
Yes.
You guys are familiar with greater male variability? Guys tend to vary more across the board on every subject relative to women. Women tend to be stable, men tend to vary. So there's more weak men, there's more strong men, women are average. There's more stupid guys, there's more smart guys, women have a tighter bell curve. So imagine this. Most women, so we're talking half the country, and let's say 65, 70% of them are of average intelligence. And then you have men where half are above average and half are below average. And then without universal voting, you have a large portion of women who are smarter than really dumb guys, and those dumb guys are voting. That's still a problem.
That might still be a problem, but I think everybody's probably seen the maps, the graphs that show what would happen if you took women out of the voting pool. You'd basically never have any left-wing stuff passing ever again. Yep. So that's a factor. And that's because even dumb guys prefer to...
Well, it's true that men are, the bell curve for men are like, is this, and the bell curve for women is like this. Okay. So what Tim is saying is true. The thing is even dumb guys work their asses off and work hard and can see the ramifications of left-leaning policies. Well, women, it doesn't matter what you do. You can always propaganda them by doing some social goods and shit, and they'll vote for you. Men are a lot harder to propaganda to use propaganda against. Men are a little harder. So while Tim's correct that there's a lot of dumb dudes there and a lot of smart dudes and all that shit, even the dumb dudes can understand that, hey, why are we spending money and sending it to Ukraine and shit? Like, even dumb guys understand that's dumb. Or why are we taxing corporate companies more when they're the ones that give me the job. That's the difference between men and women. I think for the most part, you got to have some skin in the game at the very least, and most women don't have any skin in the game, and that's the problem.
Have the ability to take risk for more gain. They're not as security oriented. They're not going to be voting for a nanny state. They're not going to be voting for open borders, that sort of thing. There's a lot of ways you could fix voting, I think. But the problem is now we've told everybody that universal suffrage democracy is the American way, which Tim would tell you is not how the country was founded. And if you say only certain people should be able to vote now, you're called like an elitist, or people will say, oh, you're not.
Oh, we got to restrict voting like crazy.
Well, I think it's good. Like if you let people, when you think about the single women that are tanking, the vote, that are all voting liberal, it's because they don't have kids, they don't own property, they don't have any skin in the game. So what are they voting for? Right. Oh, abortion rights, or oh, they'll give me free money, or they'll pay for my college. So if you let only people who have like own property or have kids, they've got stake in the game. Like they're going to be voting for bigger problems, even though they're like, oh, we don't like the guy, but he's going to push for initiatives because that's going to help the country. That's what I think. I think only landowners and like people with families should vote because they have stake in the game. It's not just, well, this guy supports abortions and I want to get my 10th abortion, so I'll just go with that guy.
Well, I just want to say this because you're talking about the people that represent, certain parties and, influencers.
Yeah.
See, I'm so black-pilled where I believe it's a uniparty where, elections are basically all stolen. It's all, it's all a facade. It's literally political theater. So that's why it's kind of hard. Like, oh, Alex Stein doesn't represent conservatives well enough. It's kind of like, well, everything conservatives represent themselves well enough because they all are infighting. And so it's just all politics, really. And I cover politics like crazy. It's cringe and gay and annoying. And I don't know how to fix that because I don't have any trust in the system. I think the government's lied about the vaccine mandate. I mean, vaccines, all kinds of stuff. So I guess I'm just maybe so black-pilled that I don't know if we can even fix the problem. It's so bad.
Well, I'm with you on the whole American system, and I get a ton of crap about that too. I think that we have like a liberal Enlightenment founding that was going to end up here. That's my personal opinion on it. But since we have this illusion of there's a left wing and a right wing, and there is, like, among the actual population to a degree, there are people who believe a set of beliefs that are more progressive left wing and people who believe a set of beliefs that are more family oriented, and I guess we'd say like conservative or Christian. And I just don't understand how Christian conservatives are being represented by people who are pushing the gay agenda, people who are pushing feminism, people who are pushing the trans agenda, and we're going to just like wave them into TPUSA and be like, yes, have the Boss Babe conference, have the LGBT like big tent thing. It's like,
yeah, it's liberalism from 10 years ago.
It is.
Should Trump have stopped Caitlyn Jenner from pooping in the women's restroom?
Did that happen?
Yeah, Caitlyn Jenner posted a video of them. I guess I don't want to get kicked off YouTube for misgendering them. Pooped in at the Trump Tower Hotel, and it was like got millions of hits.
Oh yeah, Trump was like, well, I don't care.
Yeah, Trump's like, who cares?
Well, Trump hasn't ever, like, that was again my other big criticism of Trump. He was too pro woman and he was too pro feminist.
He wants their votes.
Always hiring women for every position, and look how any of them worked out. All the women that he hires. Oh my god.
But you've heard the stories about how like he hires a woman for like a high level job. And then there's like some stories circulating where he hired some woman and she came into the office and there's like a bunch of guys on the table and they're like going over paperwork. And then she's like, here's the latest. And it's like, girl boss. And then she's like, I'll be back later with updates. She walks out and the guys are like, you hired her? Is she good at this job? And he goes, no, but she looks great.
Well, look at Alina, his attorney. I mean, he's guilty 34 counts, but gosh, she's got a great rap.
Exactly. So I would love if we had representation for traditional minded Americans who are family oriented and Christian. That's a lot of the population. I don't feel like we have representation right now. Who would it be?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think.
Like, but idolizing women.
Who's representing like traditional Christian Americans?
Hillary Clinton.
Maybe Candace
Owens.
Owens.
I don't think you're going to get a representative because somebody who's truly traditional and at home working their ass off with their kids, they're not going to be on social media. So
no, I guess I mean more like official party people and politicians. So yeah, I mean on the Republican right where we're supposed to be catering, when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, it was like, oh, you got to cater to the evangelicals, you got to cater to the Christian right-wing conservatives. But we don't do any of that anymore. Now it's like our side wants, we need a woman president, we need women senators and the female governors that are supposed to be conservative. Have you taken a look at any of them lately and how they behave and what they do? These are not, but why would we be surprised? Why would we be surprised that when we hire a woman to govern a state that it's going to turn out that she's like a hot chick who's divorced and, making out with dudes in a theater? Or
but you are right. Kristi Noem lying about her dead dog, or actually she killed a dead dog and then lied about Kim Jong-un. That is sick. You actually are right.
Well, and she's another one that if you look at a picture of her 10 years ago and now her entire face is Botox and fillers and she's gotten all this work done. It's like she looks like a Kardashian to me and I can't tell the difference policy-wise or HR, or PR-wise, what the difference is between our right-wing conservative women and Hollywood leftist women. They seem the same to me. They look the same. They talk the same. They act the same. They live the same kind of lifestyles. So I'm just looking for like, where's the representation for people like me that what I care about is my 5 kids and hopefully the dozen or so grandkids I will get from my kids if I'm lucky, Lord willing, right? I want a future for my kids and my grandkids, and none of these people are helping me with that.
What if we got all of the smartest and most successful people to just abandon their companies overnight, maybe go to a secret location of sorts where they could only live and work together and then let society fend for themselves, come up with some name for it, maybe
Jekyll Island action,
Gulch or something, just like something came up with that on top of my head. And just see how society fares.
Well, that would be fun. But to Rachel's point, I would say, and there's this old saying, idolizing politicians and celebrities is like thinking the stripper actually likes you.
Right.
You know, so it's like, what's the point of even idolizing anybody? I mean, I guess you can be a fan of somebody, but you got to have that with a grain of salt. Like,
Oh, yeah.
You know, so
I'm just saying we're supposed to have representation. This is what we believe. This is what we're told. We're told that this is a representative form of government that we have.
Mhm.
And I don't see any representation for people like me. I mean, Trump is the best we've had in a long time. And even he, again, is like very socially liberal. He's just basically an 80s Democrat.
Yeah, he's a liberal.
So I don't think adding women and, alternative lifestyle folks in an effort to bring everyone in helped anything. It just consolidated the uniparty.
I kind of feel like the worst case scenario is just we're riding the wave. The wave is going to crash violently into the shore, and the strong will survive.
Yeah.
Like the worst case scenario is we sit here, we scream to the high heavens, save yourselves, the flood is coming. We can't stop the flood is here, but we can build an ark.
Yeah, that's all you can do. All I try to do is really the main purpose of why I'm doing everything I'm doing, my purpose for being present on social media is because I get dozens of letters and DMs and emails every week from women who say, all I ever wanted was to be a mom and stay at home and raise my kids. And everybody told me I couldn't do that. Even my parents, who are Christian conservatives said, you must go to college. You've got to have a career first. This is what everyone's heard for decades. And they write me just to say, thank you for telling me and basically giving me permission to be a mom and to be a wife. And that's not only good enough, but that's awesome. And it's like more laudable than any career I was going to have. It's more meaningful because they just don't feel like they can. I had a woman write me and say, I'm in my last year of dental school. I'm supposed to start a dental practice. And all I want to do since I met my boyfriend is get married and have kids. That's all I want to do. I dream about it all day. It's all I think about. I would rather die than go start a dental practice. But my parents have invested all this money. And if I told them I was going to quit dental school, they would disown me. They would not understand. What do I do? And so I'm just trying to make the case for women because there's a lot of women who want that. There's a lot of women who want that. And they just don't feel like it's permitted.
I have to say, there should be more female dentists. I don't like to go to a male. I know, I'm dead serious. I'm not even kidding. I don't like to go to a male dentist. I don't like a guy having his hands in it.
And their hands are all big.
I'm dead. I'm not even kidding. I went to Bravo Dental as a dental place in Dallas. I was like, I want a female dentist.
Yeah, look, they got small hands.
Like, I wouldn't have a male masseuse, so we need some women to be dentists. We need a couple women to do some of this stuff. Maybe not all of them.
Small hands for manipulating.
I don't want some
instruments.
dude.
You know what I mean?
It's like that's not okay. That's okay.
Well, there's always,
but
like,
you don't want a
exceptions.
female pilot.
I don't want a female pilot, and I don't want a female. I would like if my proctologist was a female too.
Okay. You were saying, Lily.
I lost my train of thought. You cut me off with that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it is obvious that in society, women and men have different roles. So I agree with you on that 100%. But I guess the only thing I disagree with you is that like women shouldn't be pigeonholed. Like if they do want to do something different, they should have that opportunity. Like I'm not a repeal the 19th Amendment guy. I don't know if that really does fix everything.
There is this common misperception that prior to the 19th, women were not allowed, that we barred them, that we said you can only be a mom and that's it. And that's completely not true. 3 chapters of my book are dedicated to debunking that as an idea. Women have had higher literacy rates in this country since we started tracking it in 1790. Women have always been able to work. It was just that they tended to work like at home on the family farm or maybe in a shop. And they didn't want to. And they still don't really want to. It's just that if you tell them from the time they're an infant and every TV show they watch and every song they hear and every movie they see tells them you must have a career. The cool girls have jobs. The successful women are entrepreneurs and business babes. That's what they'll do.
Well, let's go back in time to when the average family was just homesteading.
Yeah.
When there was no big industry, women worked. There's no question.
Yeah.
And so the idea of women in the work or in the workplace happened as soon as men started leaving their homes for industry jobs, or industrial jobs. So you have a farm. The guy's going to wake up and he's going to be like, I'm going to go deal with the cows and the horses. And the mom's going to be like, I'll get the eggs.
Yeah. I'll make the butter.
Yeah. Turn the butter and everybody was doing work.
Right.
It's wild. Now it's like the belief was that women never did anything. Well, no, the issue was industrialization.
Yes.
And these are and a lot of high mortality jobs that women still don't take.
Yes. And this is why we didn't see a push for feminism until the Industrial Revolution. That's the only thing that enabled feminism. Before industrialization and technology, there was no concept of girl boss. There was no feminism at all because it was a much different world where, physicality mattered more and we were more attached to like our actual material reality of how food is produced, how everything is produced, right? So now women think they're super cool and tough and equal with a man because they can go to their office job and they don't think about like when they wake up in the morning and their alarm goes off, a man built that. A man created and launched the satellites that make their cell phone work. Men keep the power lines up and the grid running. Men made the road and the car that drive you to your job. They work the air conditioning that keeps you cozy in your office, like all these sort of things. It's all enabled by the world that men built. And women don't even think about that. I've asked girls, like famously in multiple debates, asked young women, do you think that if the grid went down, there was some big disaster, there's a hurricane, a flood, something like this, and the power goes down, that we could get the feminists out there and they're going to get the power back on? And they tell me yes. They're like, oh yeah, girls can do it. We have tools. We have tools now. I'm like, have you ever tried to run a jackhammer?
Well, I have to debate this real quick. I have to debate this.
Open a pickle jar?
Wait, I have to say this, Rachel, and you know this. There's a lot of lesbians at Home Depot that know exactly what the hell they're doing with a drill. I'm not saying all women, but
There's not a lot of lesbians that know what the fuck they're doing. Come on.
They have the little thing where they Google it and it tells them where the
fine.
pipe is.
I'll give you this. Let's just say every Home Depot was 50% super intelligent, handy lesbians.
Right.
Their grip strength is still less.
That is true.
And so opening pickle jars is a huge challenge for women, and that's why they need men. Because without us, I mean, the pickles will never. But in all seriousness, the grip strength correlating with the operation of a jackhammer, for instance, the weight that you need to be able to maintain for that object It's not like we're gonna make a mini jackhammer. The
You just
force.
have to make a fat lesbian.
You need look. You need a large one with large muscle mass. The jackhammers we make are not made because it's the patriarchy and we're gonna make
Right.
jackhammers so big only men can wield
Right,
them.
exactly.
No, it's because you make a tiny jackhammer, it's not gonna have enough force to break
Not gonna do
concrete.
anything. Yeah.
So
There's,
this is the challenge.
You're underestimating lesbians and look at the WNBA, dude. They're dominating. Great.
Yeah, but put any WNBA player up against an NBA dude, and they're losing. Like let's not be joking around. Like Brittany Griner went up against the average NBA player. She's gonna lose every time. Come on.
Greatest year ever. Yeah, they're losing $50 million, but that's all we talk about. So let's just.
So here's what I've said, and I know Alex agrees. Alex may agree with this for different reasons, but I've said if I am in a burning building on the 3rd floor and I am laying on the ground and there's smoke everywhere and I'm gagging, when that door bursts open, I am hoping to God it's a 6'5", glistening, ripped man
Listening?
just flexing his muscles, and he goes, "Hey there, buddy, I'm getting you out of here." I'd be like, "Oh, God."
Thank you so
If a woman kicked the door up, I'd be like, "Oh,
we're both gonna
we're both gonna
die.
die."
No, that is true. Like I don't
will
know why
be
people want to
right
push for their
back
equality. Like
again. I'll be right back again. I gotta go to the bathroom, so I'll be back. Sorry about that. Had to use the bathroom. Coffee and the delicious food my wife made me went right through me. All right, let's finish this up.
I used to work at the beach, and when we would do like a rescue training, you would have to get like the supervisor. So these are like 6'4" guys. They go limp in the water. They're in wetsuits and whatever, and you'd have to drag them like up the beach. And the guys get them up the beach, no problem, because you got the tide pulling the sand out and whatever. And then the girls would be sitting here struggling for like 10 minutes. Now we could do it, and we were like good at it, and I was really good at my job. But still, even I would be.
You weren't that good at it if you struggled with bowling a guy out of the water. Like that's not the definition of I'm good at my job.
Like, if I'm drowning out there, I hope a dude comes to get me.
No, you're exactly right, because they had to lower all the requirements for.
It's the same. Like, and also with this is if a woman's in a DV situation and her husband's beating the shit out of her, you think she wants a fucking 5'4" cop busting down that door? No, she wants the 6'5" roided out cop who's gonna come in there and beat the shit out of her husband and take him down and then be like, boom, arrested. That's what she wants. Every woman, no woman wants a woman coming and rescuing her when their life is in danger. They all want a man. Simple as that.
For the police academy for the females, for the women, because they couldn't go over the wall, they couldn't.
Right.
But hold on, but there's only one exception. So if the average guy was in a burning building, the only woman they would want to see is their mom, because women get that.
That's not even true. Okay, they don't want their mom coming in and saving them. All right, they still want a dude. Okay, no, it's going to be, they're gonna always want a dude, not even their mommy.
Superhero strength when their children are in danger, and like your mom will lift you up by one hand with her muscles snapping as she carries you to safety. But like, and I'm half joking, right? Obviously, no guy wants to see his mom in a burning building.
Yeah, no.
My point is, all of the stories where the mom lifts like a car off her child, like destroying her arms and muscles to save the child, that's amazing. But like, you're not gonna get that from the average woman. You get that from your mother who will die for you. And then guys just tend to be stronger. But man, these stories really are amazing. Where like, I mean, and you've heard them too. Like a car hit the kid and the mom lifted the car up and then the kid got out. That was amazing. Those are cool stories.
Yeah, I always hear it with grandmothers too. Yeah, you hear that story a lot, where they get superhuman strength. I mean, I think we agree on most things, Rachel, but I guess when we look at the future, this is what they say is going to happen if there's no rapture, is that we will all be one race and one sex. And that sex would be like trans, basically. It would probably be women with a female vagina that act outwardly like men, and then they just have like men's semen, and they just, I guess, artificially inseminate themselves. That's if like we live to 1 million years in the future.
The Y chromosome is dissolving. It's getting smaller and smaller.
That is actually happening?
Yeah, it is happening, but there's a couple theories. One is, in our limited understanding of the Y chromosome becoming smaller and more frail, the immediate assumption was, well, eventually it'll be nothing. But there's actually a hypothesis that it just changes rapidly from smaller to larger, and it's really just that men evolve faster than women. So the Y chromosome's change in shape recently is just greater male variability. Women tend to remain stable and average. Men change based on the circumstances required, and it really is what women require to survive what men can provide, and then they choose men based on that, which is what we get. But I would not be surprised if, because of microplastics and endocrine disruptors, but also technology, the future is men and women look identically. There will be a sexual distinction between the two, but very, very subtle. I wouldn't be surprised if like 1,000 years, men and women are both on average 5'4", ultra frail, thin bodies, gaunt faces, no hair, and like their genitals are just like
atrophied.
Yeah, like and like not even used, especially considering artificial womb technology, virtual reality. There's actually a plot point of Stargate SG-1. If you've seen it.
Yep.
The what are they called? The Nordics? Or no, the Asgard. The Asgard.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's been a long time since I watched that, but
SG-1's an amazing show. But basically, they're aliens, and they're the most technologically advanced, and they've advanced beyond the point where they can sexually reproduce. So they can only reproduce by cloning, which has resulted in their genetics decaying to the point where they've wiped themselves. They've gone. They're on their last iteration of being able to genetically engineer themselves or to clone themselves because their genetics have failed. Like just copies of
weirdly
copies.
enough, a lot of the people this is another thing I document a lot in my book, which is why it's called occult feminism, because a lot of the people that funded and pushed feminism were wealthy elites who had various proto-transhuman beliefs. A lot of them were like proto-New Agers or Baha'i faith or like any number of like occult style religions that believe in a one world religion, that everybody has to return to the monad, right? We all have to go back to being one, and that's why we have to embrace the goddess worship stuff and everything, because they wanted a human future where men and women are basically the same and androgynous, and we transcend sex differences because they have this fundamental idea that during the fall is when male and female became like when we became sexually dimorphic, and that we have to go back to having like just a unisex beige blob of humanity with a one world government and a one world religion. And that's what they wanted. Margaret Fuller was writing about this in the 1840s. A very prominent early American feminist writer. So a lot of these people did want that. Alice Bailey, who helped, create a lot of the UN programs. The early UN programs believed this, and so a lot of their policy was actually aimed towards enabling that. They thought it was inevitable, but they wanted to like help it along and accelerate it.
No, you're exactly right. Genesis chapter 11, verse 9, the Tower of Babel. If you flip that, that's 9/11. It's just weird. You know the story about Nimrod when he built a tower to the kingdom of heaven, and God made everybody speak different languages, and they all broke up. And that's what's happening today, is that reverse engineering of that. And I think that's like a satanic, demonic rule, like basically Nimrod ruling us. So that is what they want. They want us under one currency, one, no borders, one country that rules them all. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
I think it's a good example though, because the Tower of Babel just fell. It just didn't work, and then God dispersed everybody. But like even when you see like most societies, like Rome fell, it was really high, got really technologically advanced, much like how we are now, and then it fell apart because I think it's its own destructive force. Like how we were even saying how with all the technology and advancement, people are off the homesteads and now we're at the workforce, and that's where all the problems have come from. So all the advancement is almost its undoing in the end. Like that ends up crashing the whole thing, and then we start back from the bottom up.
Well, isn't everything Eve's fault for eating that apple, though?
Well,
yeah, what's up with that? Why'd you do that?
Funny enough, did you guys know that Elizabeth Cady Stanton and 24 other feminist activists from the late 1890s wrote something called the Woman's Bible? You can still buy it on Amazon right now. And they went through and edited the entire Bible and took all of that out. So they took out Eve being at fault. They took out the curse in Genesis on the woman. They just changed all the patriarchal stuff in the Bible that they didn't like. And in the foreword, Stanton says herself, now remember, these were all supposed to be Christian women, but if you dig a little deeper, none of them were. She said, look, if I could just eradicate the Bible from the face of the earth, I would do it. But I can't. It's the most popular, most influential book there's ever been, and too many people believe in it. So instead, we will just subvert it. We'll change the meaning. We will do some social justice Christianity, which was very popular at the time. And they wrote this Woman's Bible, and it's actually had a huge effect on a lot of the churches around the turn of the century. And people don't even everybody wants to know, why are the churches so feminized? Why is there so much feminism?
Why are there so many rainbow flags?
Yeah, it has a lot to do with that. That book was so popular that they had multiple printings and we're talking 1895. So this stuff is not new. Like this has been around for a long time. It was intentional to like feminize Christianity and convince people that the Bible was written by men and it's just a tool of the patriarchy to keep women down.
Well, you guys all know what the rainbow means, right?
You mean like from a biblical perspective? God's promise never to destroy the world again.
So I told James Coughlin, because he put the Irish cutout behind him a lot. I said, put a rainbow behind you. And he's like, oh, I think that'll send the wrong message. And I was like, you lose. You've lost. You're outright saying that a symbol of your religion from thousands of years representing God's covenant to the earth, never flooded again, you've lost it. You can no longer display a symbol of your faith because you're scared people will think it's associated with something degenerate. Okay, you lose. You have to reclaim it. You can't let people take your symbols from you.
Well, that's a problem.
Go ahead.
Right, sorry. Like we're even seeing that with conservatives fleeing like liberal states and stuff. We're so bad at just, okay, fine, just take it, whatever. We don't feel like the fight, and we just kind of secede all this ground and just give them this and like take the losses, and we don't even try to like reclaim it. Like we took over woke, like they came up with that, and we took it and we reclaimed that and made it our word. Like we got to do the same thing with like the rainbow and everything else.
Fake news and cheap fake too.
Yeah.
Fake news was created by the media to attack Trump, and Trump immediately like, no, you're fake news. And then now they're like, stop calling us that.
Yeah.
So don't let them take the rainbow. Like I say, all these rainbow things that are being painted on the ground. Christians should go out there and like make them symbols of Christianity and God's covenant, and then watch the left freak out. Like, that's not what it means. That's not what it means. And they're like, you've painted the symbol of God's love. Yay.
Yeah.
Well, this point is a little out of left field, but the Bible talks about Nephilim, these giants, and supposedly 30 of the angels were casted out of heaven, came down to earth, and made it with humans, and they made these giants, and that's supposedly, I guess, why God had to flood the earth and kill all these creatures. That's what they say, and I kind of tend to believe that. And the rainbow.
I'm really not interested in any of this Bible stuff, so I'm just gonna bump it up to 2.5 speed. And hopefully we get through and get something more interesting.
Should be a pride flag that we killed a bunch of giants.
Well, they were supposed to be pretty wicked. So.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that we shouldn't have killed them. I'm just saying, that pride flag was a really good thing, and now it's represents gay butt sex. So there you go.
Thank you for that one. Did you guys ever see
all of them land?
Have you ever seen this is a Nephilim skull? You see that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There were giants. They're hiding the giants. What do you think about that, Rachel?
Hiding the giants?
You seen this? The Nephilim skull?
Is it real or is it one of those anthropological?
That's real. That's real. That's real. Look at the teeth.
Yeah, you can't.
Look at this.
Because I don't believe in dinosaurs either.
This is
there you go. Smart.
This is real. You guys have never seen this before?
No.
Yeah, that's Nephilim. See the gigantic singular eye socket?
Oh, like a cyclops?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Wait, is this backwards?
I feel like you're trolling us, Tim.
Look at the teeth. You see the teeth right here? This is a real skull. This is real. They find them all over the place in Africa because they're elephant skulls.
I was just going to say, I'm waiting for the shoe to drop. I knew
He's so clever. I'm just telling you, giants were here.
No, it's not about being clever. The point is when they first found these, they thought they were cyclops skulls. Because they didn't know what else, like that's the whole top is like the nasal passage.
For the trunk.
Right, and then the tusks come out here and the eyes are off to the side. And so because of humans' ocular cavities, they assumed that was a cyclops. That's what they thought. They didn't understand.
Science is a lie.
So perhaps the story of the giants was actually just they found them elephant skulls.
No, the Smithsonian has the bones. They're hiding them.
They're hiding the Nephilim bones?
Nick Cage stole the Declaration of Independence. I'm going to go steal the Nephilim bones.
Didn't he do like 3 times or something?
I think there's 3 movies.
Were there 3 movies?
What was it called? National Treasure?
Yeah.
Right? And was there 3 of them?
I think there was a third one announced.
Yeah, that's what,
I'm definitely going to the theaters to see that. Like, no question.
No, that was actually good.
Have you guys seen the Nick Cage movie where he gets recruited? He plays himself, recruited by the CIA to investigate the cartels?
Oh, one of my friends just reviewed that movie.
It's so good.
Oh, it's a new movie, right?
Yeah, it's got Pedro Pascal in it. There's a scene. So he's just Nick Cage. He's playing himself, and he's investigating. He's sent to the designer guy of his, and he's investigating whether this guy's actually the leader of this drug ring. And so he's snooping around one day by himself, and he finds this like secret room with his big door closed, and he's about to open it, and then he hears Pedro Pascal. I'm like, don't do it. He's like,
again, I don't. None of this is really interesting. I'm trying to just skip ahead, see if anything interesting. If it doesn't become interesting in like 5 minutes, I'm just gonna call it there. We're almost done anyways, so it's not that big of a deal.
Have to. And he's like, if you go in that room, it will change everything between us forever. And he's like, I'm sorry. And he thinks like you didn't open any final drugs. He opens it, and it's this museum of Nick Cage. All these movies, all this. And the guy's like, yeah, he's all embarrassed. As a total aside of the conversation, that movie's really funny.
I love Con Air. That was my favorite.
For the last 15 minutes of the show, let's talk about why we like Nick Cage.
Nick Cage is a
That's Jay
badass.
Dyer when you need him to. The
Yeah, he
Nick
loves Nick
impression.
Cage. Yeah, no, Nick Cage is a beast. He hates the patriarchy more than anybody.
Do you think Nick Cage hates patriarchy?
Mhm.
So, with all the talk of political instability,
Dude, my favorite Nick Cage movie though is was it Hard Rock? No, not Hard Rock. The Rock with Sean Connery.
what do the next few years look like? What do the next 20 years look like? I mean, young people aren't having relationships, fertility rates in the gutter. Do we just see population collapse, abandoned cities? Actually, I can say this. We're seeing all this crime and cities falling apart. Michigan had population drain when the industry collapsed. I mean, that seems to be like, it's an image of what's to come.
That's my home state. That's where I've lived most of my life. And I grew up in a town that was only there in existence because of a GM plant that they built there. Everybody in town worked there. The whole town economy was built off of that place. And they shut it down, late 90s, early 2000s after NAFTA. And the town just died out.
Yeah.
And that was a huge problem in Michigan. I mean, we've got a lot of problems. We're run by a bunch of lesbian, tyrannical, crazy people. So that doesn't help either. But yeah, it's a real thing in the Midwest.
And now with the population decline from industry collapse, what do you think this country is going to look like when you have fertility population decline? Everything's going to be like Michigan. Our cities are going to be, I mean, man, it really is crazy when you look at how many buildings are abandoned. Mm-hmm. Imagine going to New York and it's just a bunch of empty, decaying buildings. You look at Detroit, look at Flint, you look at Gary, Indiana, and you see these houses that are just falling apart. Imagine a skyscraper in New York City.
Yeah.
Not even a crazy big one, 20 stories, and it's just busted out windows, just abandoned.
Living in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's where we're going.
Well, it's like South Africa. They have all these old penthouse buildings that are now just people living there, and they're throwing trash down the elevator chutes.
They're just squatting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what we're going to see with migrants taking over the cities and everybody evacuating. Even New York City, if I went there in 2016 or something, and it was a bustling city. Went there a couple years later, not as many people on the streets. People are really evacuating the cities, and then it's just going to be the migrants and whoever they bring in that takes over that.
It's funny though. You say people are evacuating the I guess metropolitan areas, but I feel like all the small towns are dying too. I mean, if you go to you don't think so? I feel like Charlestown here is doing good for a small town, but I spend a lot of time in East Texas and stuff, and I mean, I feel like a lot of those small towns, you go to their main street or you go to the near the courthouse, and only maybe half the shops are actually leased out. So I don't know. It's hard to get. I feel like
because
small towns,
everybody goes to Walmart. You don't
that
support
is true.
the little companies.
That is true. That I won't debate you on. But it is weird though, because you would think that these towns would be bustling now when we're getting all these immigrants and all these people are changing their life and moving out. But it's I just don't see it when I go to those small towns.
Well, when Andrew was here, he said something like, "You'll either get a revolution or you could get a renaissance." We could have a renaissance. If you take a look at churches in the United States, the most woke churches are dying out.
Mm-hmm.
The mega churches, they pop up, they'll do really good for a year or two, and then they die out because people just don't stay. And the more traditional versions, like Orthodoxy in America, is exploding right now. If you look at the growth from 2014 to now in Orthodox Christianity in this country, it's huge. It's one of the fastest growing denominations. And we don't have abortion, we don't have birth control, and we have huge families. On average, Orthodox families are very big. Some of our most prominent priests have 10, 12 kids.
Yeah, I think Joel Osteen's like a Satanist, basically.
He is.
Any pulpit pimp.
And I think what'll happen is the only people who are going to have kids are those kind of people, right? The people who are homesteading, the people who are homeschooling, doing traditional Christian stuff, and rejecting the woke stuff, the girl boss stuff.
What precipitated the Renaissance?
Well, the Black Plague. Right?
Yeah.
A massive decay. Yeah, I think
all
that's
of the
what'll
weak
happen.
people were basically obliterated, and only the strong survived.
Yeah.
And then you got a Renaissance period.
And it creates a lot of opportunity, right?
It wasn't just the Black Death. I just pulled it up. It was the Great Famine followed by the Black Death.
Mm-hmm.
But there are things that are happening now that are probably going to result in people losing their lives, being unable to have kids. So I don't know if they look back at this as the Black Death, like COVID. Come on, they say, oh, all these people died from COVID, and it's like, did they? Look, a lot of people died from COVID. I'm not saying that's not true, but I'm saying you had that viral video out of Illinois where it was the Secretary of State, or no, there was a chief medical officer of Illinois saying, so our records show dying with COVID, not from COVID. So be careful you don't conflate that. And we see a lot of the media conflating dying with and dying from.
And comorbidities being
right. With that being said, I think the bigger plague that could lead to a renaissance is going to be microplastics in the testicles, endocrine disruptors. People can't have kids.
Transagenda stuff, hormone
sterilizing themselves.
Yeah.
And so this is World War III.
Again, I'm just I don't know. This is really interesting.
I mean, we have a lot of things to be concerned about that could lead to mass death.
Yeah.
Well, and just to shill for my church, Orthodox Christianity is the one worldview, the one thing that combats all of that stuff. We didn't do the medical interventions that were recommended. We didn't shut down most of our churches. We don't believe in abortion or birth control, really, under any circumstances. We don't believe in divorce, except for we're not quite as bad as the Roman Catholics and you've got to stay in an abuse marriage. We have exceptions for abandonment, abuse, anonymity, things like that. But generally, we take marriage extremely seriously, and it's like a sacrament of our church. So
no, and I follow Jay Dyer. I like Jay. But what is what Orthodoxy doesn't like Roman Catholic? What is the internal strife with Catholicism and Orthodoxy?
The original Great Schism was between the Roman Church and the rest of the churches. There was only one church for the first 1,000 years. Rome split off and wanted to do its own thing. They wanted to have a.
And that became the Vatican. It became weird, and the hats and everything.
Yeah, their hats are way too big. The other people have hats that are too small. They don't have hats. That's the problem. Our hats are just right. They're right in the middle. So that's how you use the true church.
I'm going to shift a little bit because we have a few minutes left. But right now, the Magic the Gathering Pro Tour Modern Horizons is on. This is a new Magic the Gathering set that came out a couple weeks ago. I don't really care to talk about Magic the Gathering in and of itself. My point is, this is a massive industry, gaming, and the guys are all morbidly obese. And I'm looking, so I'm looking at these notifications because I love Magic. And my bigger concern is a professional industry with all of these very interested guys spending millions of dollars collectively. I mean, some of these, if you're playing one of the older sets competitively, vintage, a deck costs you $100,000 to be tournament legal. So these are guys who have money, are successful, and they're morbidly obese and unkempt. And I'm just like, why? Why? Come on. We've got to have that. Remember that video where all the guys are swinging from monkey bars in the 50s and they're all like, we got to do that. It's crazy for me to see professional, successful men in a top league with prizes.
All right. No, I lost interest. None of that was interesting. To me personally, we only had 10 minutes left, so I doubt anything of real interest is going on. I'm kind of exhausted at this point. But yeah. Anyways, that's it. That's all we got. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. And what do you think? What do you think about everything that was discussed during that podcast? If you want to watch it and it's full without having to listen to me talk, go and check out the video. Okay. The link is below. But before you do anything, make sure you just give it a like and a subscribe. I hope you have a good day. Peace out. We'll be back tomorrow and see you tomorrow. Hope you have a good day. Peace out. See you later.